Welcome to day number 3 of the PMCO Full Split 2021 EU Wildcard Finals. 16 teams battling out for that all-elusive singular PMPL spot. The chase is on. Catch-up is ready because 4 Romanian boys, they're running away with it as of right now. My name is Imperium with Sute to bring you through all of the actions of today's games. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm feeling great. I'm looking forward to seeing if anybody could catch up to 4 Romanian boys. Like they absolutely, like you said, today's the chase. It's all about which team can chase up to 4 Romanian boys, and it also kind of requires 4 Romanian boys to slow down. Like we saw them put the pedal to the metal yesterday and the day before that, just nonstop, just gaining all those points. And if that trend continues, honestly, it doesn't matter how fast you are, you're not going to chase up to them because they're going to keep running ahead.
Yeah, it's like a Wile E. Coyote trying to catch was a Roadrunner. There you go. You're just not gonna catch up to them at all. Let's get into the formalities of it. Let's move on to the format graphic to explain, if you are just joining us for the first time, and how the PMCO works, where we started, where we're going, and what the idea is around it.
So last week we started with the group stage where we had 32 teams compete each other with alternating groups, 4 matches each day, and then we whittled it down to the top 16. Now we are in the finals. We're in day number 3 of 4 in the finals. We have 4 matches today, 4 matches tomorrow, and it is the top team, not the top teams, but the number 1 team from this region in the PMCO finals will get to move on to the PMPL.
It's you only got one shot. Don't miss your chance to blow. Simple as that. Let's move on to the points and how these teams are going to earn it in the PMCO finals. Standard format, to be fair. 15 for first, 12 for second, 10 for third. You know, those first 3 positions, those points, that's going to be massively important for the teams that are trying to chase 4 Romanian boys.
Yeah, the kill points also will matter a lot if you want to chase down the 4 Romanian boys. Teams no longer can only just think about getting a chicken dinner to climb. Well, I mean, they could get a chicken dinner to climb the leaderboard, but if they're only thinking about the chicken dinner to catch up to the 4 Romanian boys, I don't think that's going to cut it. At some point in the game, if they see an opportunity for some kill points, even if it's a little bit risky, they need to execute it properly, get the kill points, don't lose any players, and then switch into the rotation, the positioning, the chicken dinner mode. I think that's the only safe way you could catch up to 4 Romanian boys without having to rely on the 4 Romanian boys to throw a couple of games.
Yeah. 110%. There's gonna be a lot more we're gonna be breaking into it, of course. Move on to the prize pool, because outside of the PMPL slot, there is some money involved, and you could argue that at this stage it's the only thing a few of these teams are really fighting over, to be fair, with how much of a lead 4 Romanian boys has over the rest of the lobby. But that money does make a difference.
Money is money. If I was the 4 Romanian boys, honestly, I would already be talking about like, so what you spending your grand on? Like, because we got the 4 players of 4 Romanian boys, right? That's 4K total, 1K each for them. Yeah, the conversation I would already be thinking it. What should I spend my $1,000 on? Because that lead is massive, and you'll soon see. Yeah. Go ahead.
If it was Bright, he'd probably spend it on a candle or a couple of candles or a couple of lights. If it was Wix, he'd probably spend it building a website. If it was Playboy, I won't go any further. So let's move into the schedule of today's games. We have 4 maps on board for you guys. 2 Erangels, 1 Sanhok, 1 Miramar.
Yeah, the map order, same old, good map order, solid map order. Usually I would go a bit more into detail about like the teams, how the map order does affect their performance. But it's the 4 Romanian boys though, it's just like, it doesn't matter the map order if you ask me anymore. It doesn't matter what we do,
No.
what maps we play. Because the 4 Romanian boys, all 4 maps, they are just showing out. It's literally just you versus 4 Romanian boys at this point. In map order, like, I mean, it's there. It's on the screen for you guys. That's the order we're going to play things out. But at this point, I don't want to put too much emphasis on it.
Like, just to at least put at least put a little bit of context around it in terms of 4 Romanian boys right now. Erangel is actually their weakest map, believe it or not, in terms of points average per game of only 12.5. But in Miramar, over the 2 games we've had, 30 points per game. So, you're right. At this stage, for the other teams, it doesn't matter what maps. But maybe for 4 Romanian boys, they could do it focusing a little bit more on Erangel to increase the average points per game, because it seems like they have the 2 other maps nailed down. Something to, thought I'd at least add a little bit of context to it. But either way, let's go for a bit of a quick break, and then we'll go much deeper before we get into game 1. And we are back. We are back indeed. Teams are back. The teams are back and ready for more. 4 games today. They have it all to play for. I'm kind of on the fence of, or the side of the fence that there's a chance, right? When I put up a story yesterday to tell you about how 4 Romanian boys were so dominant in yesterday's games, to be fair, Beg for Mercy responded to me going, there's still 8 games, man. Anything can happen. And I see his point of view. There is still 8 games to go. That's the thing. It's not one and done. And even when I was talking to the 4 Romanian boys manager, Rambo, he's saying that he said to the team that if 4 Romanian boys can score 80 plus points in one day, so can the Noisy boys. So I'm on the side of the fence that it's possible. Let's bring up the participating teams because I want to see what your perspective is. Do you think 4 Romanian boys have it in the bag?
Yesterday I said there's a chance, like, theoretically 4 Romanian boys could potentially not even play today and they could still be first place. So the fact that they are playing today and they are playing tomorrow with how much of a lead they have, it's not just any lead. It's a very dominant lead with the way it played out. We saw the 4 Romanian boys execute some high-level plays. It was not like they just got zone blessed or like teams just completely, just fell to the wayside. They fought their way in. They had the teamwork. They had like the perfect executions in a lot of the games. So they're going to keep that up. They might falter a little bit today compared to the previous 2 days, but they're still going to rack up some good points. So I would say I'm going to stick my neck out there. Like, not 100% comfortable, but I would say 4 Romanian boys have it in the bag. I would not be surprised. I give them like a 95% chance of just being the number 1 team at the end of the finals.
That's fair. To provide a little bit more context, again, if you've missed the first 2 days, let's have a look at the overall standings because the proof is in the pudding of what you're bringing up. Zute had the lead that 4 Romanian boys has over the rest of the lobby. 152 points, 3 chicken dinner, 79 placements, 73 kill points. That difference, that balance between placement points and kill points at such a high amount is incredibly good.
And something to take note, right now, 152 for the 4 Romanian boys, right? I want to see if a team can pass up 152 at the end of the day. Not even past 4 Romanian boys, because 4 Romanian boys are going to get points. I want to see if a team is even able to pass 152. So if 4 Romanian boys did not play today, can a team even pass them up? And look at the Noisy boys, right? 86 points. one of the days they had a really huge day, but on average between the 2 days, 86 points. If you divide that by 2, that is 43. So we could say on average, you're doing 43 points a day. Now let's say they have a really, really good day today. So they go beyond that average. Let's add 20 points up to that 43. So 43 plus 20, that is 63. So if they had a really good day and they get 63 points today, that only puts them at like 149 points, which is still not past 152.
Yeah.
So I love
that.
Like we see the point difference, but I hope that gives the viewers a little bit more perspective on just how big that gap really is.
And of course, the Noisy Boys do have to contend with XTEAM Defeaters and FTY. Very, very close behind them. Only 5 points divide those teams. It's not going to be a massive thing, but it might be something that could be in the back of their heads. I will caveat that by saying that out of the teams that are fighting, the 4 teams that are kind of fighting to try and chase 4 Romanian Boys, at least at the moment, the 2 teams that I see pulling it off, if any, is the Noisy Boys and the Feeders. The reason why is because the Noisy Boys, they have pretty much a full PMPL experienced team, and they're the only team outside of those 4 to have gotten a 30-plus point game. Whereas, and the Defeaters, they've been the most consistent team out of the 4 that I've mentioned. They got 5 out of 8 positive results. Yes, they haven't been massively high scoring games. They actually haven't gotten a game over 20 points, but the fact that 5 out of those 8 games have been over 10 points does say something for their ability to either turn something around, be consistent, and just stay within the mix. They just need to turn that notch up to 11, grab 2 to 3 20-plus point games, and I could see that happening.
Okay, fair enough. I have a counter to the Defeaters, your point. Let's move on to the second point. The second page real quick.
Second page.
I'll bring up the point about the Defeaters, but let's take a look at these other teams, 9th through 16th. At this point in the game, they are not qualifying for the PMPL. It's simple as that.
Yeah.
Now, what they have left to fight for is the prize money. There is a difference in each placement, but what I would be more interested to see is if any of these teams, right, want to kind of make a name for themselves. Get us casters screaming their name. Get us to focus on them, because like no joke, all right? As a competitive player, it's about how well you perform and the money, but the difference in prize monies between 9th through 16th is not that much. And as a competitor, you want to make a name for yourself, because that actually takes you pretty far. That gets people talking about you. That gets organizations looking at you. And I'll just say it now. If they drop on 4 Romanian Boys and take them out, that shows that they have the potential and the synergy and the power and the strength to take down such a juggernaut that is the 4 Romanian Boys, which means in the future, more people would look at them, more people would take them seriously, and and honestly, they should. I'm not just saying this because I want to see some chaos happen. Like, sure, that's one aspect of it, but in all seriousness, they should go for it. One of these teams should go for the drop straight on 4 Romanian Boys.
We kind of half saw it in the last day of the group stage, right? Or the last couple of days, where teams that weren't really going to secure their spot in the finals, but would pull out some pretty good performances, both on a pride standpoint and, as you said, making a name for themselves. So it's a really fair point to bring on board. And that's where 4 Romanian Boys, they can be super pleased at the lead that they have. They also have a massive, massive target on their back. Massive target on their back. They are the golden prize at the bottom of the tunnel that Indiana Jones is trying to get to, right? They are the snitch that Harry Potter's trying to catch, whatever you want to call it. They are the target at the end of the day. Just like, you know, the target should also be these beautiful devices. You can enjoy a super fast and powerful PUBG mobile experience and Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G, the fantastic sponsors of this PMCO EU wildcard. Game number 1 in Erangel. I highlighted for Romanian Boys, maybe weakness, technical weakness in Erangel. The likes of the Noisy Boys could look to take advantage of that. Maybe the feeders. Hell, maybe FTY could pull things up. Lots of things can happen.
Yeah. XTEAM is also up there to give them a mention. They're doing pretty well,
Yes,
but they've only showed up very recently in the finals. We didn't see anything too amazing out of them for PMCO, so that's why we're not focusing too much on them. But maybe they're a finals team. We'll just have to see. The first match is about to get started, so let's head on to the plane for the match 1 of the day on the beautiful map of Erangel.
Playing path isn't too bad. It's a little bit down on the southern side of the map. It's going diagonal from military base to the north of George. And is it just me, or has most of the playing paths kind of been on the southern, southwestern kind of area of the map? Yeah, seems to be more consistent in that direction. Good for 4 Romanian Boys, to be fair. Good for the Noisy Boys, most importantly, as well as Rexpect. They like to go to Nova, but I'm curious on what ENTROPIQ are going to do, because if you remember, in one of the games yesterday, one of the Erangel games, it was FTY that nearly took out one of the ENTROPIQ players.
Yeah.
That had kind of dropped a little bit further away, so I hope ENTROPIQ learn from that.
We had a little card loop-de-loop shenanigans happening where he was just doing donuts around Sans, trying to run that player over, but eventually they all just parted ways and, you know, went about the game as normal. But we see here in ENTROPIQ, they're not dropping anywhere close to FTY. I think they've adjusted to what happened yesterday. They don't want to risk that happening again, and instead ENTROPIQ looks like, where are they dropping? I don't see their names. I think they're definitely
they're in Milta. No, they're by Milta at the moment. They're dropping by Milta, and they'll go to then they'll take a couple of vehicles and go to Milta Power.
All right, I see them now. For some reason, I was looking for a green team color. I just got that mix. Oh, okay. No worries. Casualties already right off the start. Tip top, 1 player goes down. Sorry for Skill picks up the first kill of the game. Now, we were talking about the defeaters, right? They're one of the teams that you pick.
What's your counterpoint?
So my counterpoint, you're saying they're very consistent, which I agree. Everything you said is correct, except for, I don't think you realize, yes, consistency usually gets you up in the rankings and could potentially get you to first place. And a standard point separation that we see throughout most PMCOs and PMPLs, yes, that is the case. This time around, this is not a standard point difference. For Romanian Boys, like I highlighted earlier with one of my examples, their point gap is insurmountable. It's absolutely insane, the point difference for them. So consistency won't get you first place over the top of them. You need instead
that's
not
true.
Consistency, but just insane pop-off games. That's the only way you're going to catch up to the 4 Romanian Boys. Like, if you're consistent, you'll get points on your way up there, but you'll never pass them up. I'd rather have a team or pick a team that's not as consistent, but sometimes they just have massive games, and you sprinkle, like, you know, 2 massive games out of the 4 games.
But here's the thing:
game out of the 4 games. Yeah. Okay. Go on.
But to kind of counter your counter, you're right. That's the thing. Here's what I love about different perspectives. We're both technically right at the end of the day. But what's the point in getting a 31-point game if the next game you get 0 points and 1 point? You basically get 250, and that hurts your mentality, right? As a competitor, that kills your mentality. It kills your motivation. Whereas at least if you get 2 15 to 20 point games, it's something to build on. Right, it's more motivation. It's like, okay, it's a bit more, it pleases your ego a bit more, right? Whereas when you go from that super high to super low, that is way more stressful. That's kind of why I brought up that consistent element with regards to the defeaters.
Okay. I feel like from a competitor standpoint, when I used to compete, though, if we needed a huge
you tell me, mate.
When we needed to really catch up to a team, what helped the most was the highs. Even if we had the lows, just having the highs, kind of like you mentioned, being consistent, it feels better, right? But when your results are consistent, when you're trying to catch up a huge point gap, you're just feeling kind of neutral the whole time. You're kind of feeling like, okay, that was decent. I hope we can do it again. And then it's like, oh, okay, that was decent. It's not enough. I hope we can do it again. Like, at least we didn't do bad, right? That's the consistency feeling back when I was a competitor.
Yeah.
But when we get those huge games, it's like, we get hyped. We're like, bro, we got this. Like, we can do this.
Adrenaline,
when we hit, and when we hit that low, let's say you get a bad game, only 5 points. Yeah, we're quiet. We feel like, damn, we messed up. Like, this is gonna be tough. But we can fall back to that adrenaline. We can fall back to all right, dude, we literally scored 35 points the game before this.
Yeah.
We can do this. We absolutely owned it. So I'd rather have that up and down feeling. I feel like that gives you more of an edge to catch up rather than trying to just stay consistent every game. Game 1, game 2, game 3. And you never hit that, super high game where you really feel like you're catching up all of a sudden.
Okay. Definitely interesting. I love our two different perspectives. That's why I love casting with you, man. Seriously, because you bring so much, knowledge and color to your points. Absolutely beautiful. But into this game, we are going. Phase 1 is closing, and we're about halfway through. That Phase 1 circle really wasn't too bad. A little bit more north than we're used to seeing in Erangel. Includes a bit of the river, of course. Teams are centering into the Phase 1 circle, all Rejection, Mega Power, FTY, all in the center a while. The Noisy Boys, are they being gatekept by New Generation? Bridge Camp.
Oh, this is 100%. Look at this. They have 3 players set up here. This is 100% planned. I touched on it yesterday. The Noisy Boys, they keep dropping Military Island, and their rotation is so predictable. It was going to happen at some point, but the Noisy Boys, with a very good readjustment, they actually get a knock onto New Generation. So this is working out. This is the second time they've been bridge camped, and they've come out on top both times.
That was such a poor bridge camp setup in my eyes.
It was.
Having 3 players behind that one rock is a no-go. You need to have multiple angles of pressure, right? So when you get those initial shots, you send them somewhere else, so you have that second player on the other side ready. Whereas they had 3 players behind that rock. You have technically more initial firepower, but if you leave that too late, if you get the timing wrong, you've missed your shot and you get punished for it.
I actually don't mind their setup. The biggest mistake, even if they changed their setup, even if you saw a traditional bridge camp where it's more set up on the bridge, one on the tower, one at the biggest problem or the biggest mistake they did is that they didn't let the Noisy Boys separate themselves. You want to let 1 or 2 cars drive past you, and then when you lay out the fire, regardless of your positioning, even if you're stacked in one spot, you let them put themselves in a surrounded position. So no matter your setup, if you just let 1 or 2 pass by, you automatically let them do the work for you by putting themselves in a surrounded spot. So that was the biggest mistake out there.
XTEAM still in the Asnaya. which I don't mind because phase 1, Yasnaya is kind of on that eastern edge with the river, so they'll be able to react to that phase 2 shift a lot more cohesively than a couple of other teams. 4 Romanian Boys did go into that compound that's outside of the school. We see that phase 2 shift. It goes in the direction of Yasnaya. We could be looking at another city finish, but the Alamo held down by QILIN. That's a perfect location in my eyes for this phase 2.
QILIN's in a beautiful spot, dead center, and not just any center position. That position gives you so many rotation options, and it's got a huge field of control, and you can do a really big split there and still hold down the entire section. Let's see what QILIN decides to do. Defeaters, this is the team you're talking about, the very, very consistent team, one of the most consistent teams I've ever seen. So nothing against them. They're definitely a great team. I just don't think that consistency is what they should be looking for if they really want to overtake that insurmountable lead. The Noisy Boys, I would feel more comfortable with picking the Noisy Boys over the Defeaters at having a chance. You said it yourself. They had a 30-point game, 31-point game, I think, yesterday. If they could do that 2 times over today, they could catch themselves up.
Nice rotation from the Noisy Boys wrapping around Potato Hill. It was much cleaner and less out of sight, out of mind compared to the other teams. Well, 4 Romanian Boys, they lose 1 player at the hands of FTY. I believe it was an initial knock by all Rejection Gaming, confirmed by FTY. On a side note, massive shout out to Hader from all Rejection Gaming. I have a lot of love for him. I've known him for a couple of years in the PUBG mobile scene. I talk to him regularly. He's a hardworking dude. He hasn't really been able to commit too much to the competitive scene this season, yet he still found his way into the PMCO finals with all Rejection. So massive love for him. FTY, they're going to have to deal with Mega Power.
They are next door neighbors right now. The engagement can easily just never happen because both teams have their own means of exiting without having to drive past the other team necessarily. It's usually when, one team is fully gatekept or stuck that we see a forced engagement. But Mega Power, they could wrap back around and exit on the next circle shift. Same with FTY. They have more positioning power to go more center in on the next shift. So it should be fine. With Mega Power, though, one of them gets third-partied. But like we talked about the other day, the kill feed, it's hidden. It just says team player, knock team player. They don't necessarily know that Mega Power just got down a person.
And I don't believe FTY has gotten a knock onto any of the Mega Power players, so there's a really high chance they wouldn't have correlated that knock player number to Mega Power. The revive's being played out. Few other teams that are positioned quite nicely was ENTROPIQ. Rexpect have a really big spread, but I don't mind because it's on technically the less congested side of the circle. Biscay, we talked about his nades before. He's opened the door with a knock onto Logist.
It is always Biscay. Just with the openings, with being the last one alive, and that opening, they're going to press in. Biscay does get knocked, though. They will be able to get the revive. Unfortunately for Mega Power, Logist is kind of stuck out in a tough spot. They're going to go for that revive, too. The grenades.
Yeah, got to win nice nade, though.
It might get reset into another stalemate, and we might see both teams back off once again.
I think it was actually all Rejection Gaming that got the knock on the Biscay. I think I saw it on the kill feed. Oh, beautiful job. Man, this guy, like, he's just 12 out of 10. Biscay, once again, opens up the door, gets a confirmation on board, closes the other door. Now, I don't think this is a bad rotation or a bad setup by Mega Power, but they're doing nothing with it. Although Biscay is once again being knocked, no confirmations really being played. Although Fella God with the Molotov does get the confirmation on the Biscay and a knock on the Zodogs. That's why I said I like the formation that Mega Power had and the ability to try and fend off FTY.
Mega Power's positioning was perfect for a defense, and you can see it there. FTY a little bit too cluttered together. Now it's a 2v3 situation. Another player of FTY goes down. It's down to a 1v3. Can this FTY member clutch it up? Lodge is running straight through the building, not knowing where he was, and here we go. Turnaround is there, and Mega Power pick up 4 kills. Meanwhile, the circle has shifted down to the southeastern side around the shelter area where we got the dips, we got the shelter bunkers. All the other teams have already rotated on their way in.
ENTROPIQ in the museum buildings. You have Rexpect and sorry for skill. Rexpect with 2 players down already. Seems like Hasbula is playing in the team for Rexpect. Nice to see him getting some PMCO experience. Haven't seen him play in any of the PMCO games so far to my recollection. However, with him being taken down, it's just Salazar and Pappy left to fend themselves off. They're going to look to disengage. That's a very, very risky disengage. Luckily for them, ENTROPIQ didn't seem to be looking outside of the museum building to take shots onto them.
They barely made it out right there. One of their buggy wheels also gets shot out. Rex down to 2. Now we got to fight all the way this second. This is all the way up towards Stolber. Daos Legion and La Familia. Look, you see the mini-map on your top right. I'm sorry, though. The observer.
My God.
Zoom it out. Zoom it out some more. Yeah, it's way up there. I don't know how these two teams happen to run into each other all the way up here. Like Daos Legion, yeah, we know they edge in the blue.
Exactly.
What a fight.
La Familia? By the way, on a side note, I just learned, my mouth and my tongue just learned how to say that team name. I was struggling with it, but I think it was today where I was like, La Familia. And I was like, yeah, okay, I got it right. Let's see if they can get things right for the rest of the games today. The next circle pops up. It centers quite nicely. This is quite tricky. You have the road split in the middle. QILIN, the Alamo compound, is still under their control.
Yeah, QILIN, there's 2 major big dips where teams could be kind of right next to QILIN and just fully live next to each other. Let's see if that plays out though. But the Noisy Boys, they got a good dip right there in zone. 4 Romanian Boys also in zone. They might get smashed on here though. Rex driving in on the mini map, and also last fight coming into the eastern side. It's going to get really chaotic here.
Yeah, desperate rotation from the 2-man team of Rexpect, somewhat separated. 4 Romanian Boys, 3 players up. They're taking their time, still in the circle. Of course, will trying their best to fend off a few teams around them. ENTROPIQ, like I said, still in the museum, just to the southwest of their small building compound. Reki under pressure, being spotted out by Redox. Shots being fired up. Lots of smokes being thrown out by the last fight. Players are trying to keep themselves alive at the brunt of 4 Romanian Boys.
4 Romanian Boys spreading out a lot of pressure right there. No team's willing to crash that little Alamo spot right there. Last fight, good rotation. They find themselves on a... Actually, I don't know how good that edge spot is. I don't know if they'll be able to keep their cars alive, and they're probably under some lines of sight. Rex, meanwhile, found a spot at the very center. Oh, well, there's one more point for 4 Romanian Boys to pad their stats. Rex, though, they're in a really interesting spot.
Okay.
Not seen many teams use that spot right there. Yeah, there's a little dip that just dips right down that you could survive in. No teams could really get a clear sight line. So good on Rex for finding that.
Yeah, clear, strong awareness of the map and the locations. And I give credit, I would argue, to Salazar for that one. Either way, let's see if it can work for them. Phase 4 is closing in. We have a lot of teams on the edge of circle. Sorry for skill. Last fight, the Noisy Boys. And then up in the north, you have XTEAM Defeaters and Mega Power.
Circle is slowly closing on in. Looks like last fight has found somewhat of the spot in zone, but just as they get situated, we're going to get the next shift. 44 players still left alive. The Noisy Boys with 4 players up. Meanwhile, the 4 Romanian Boys with only 3. This could be a big one for the Noisy Boys. The name of the game today is catch up. Can one of these teams catch up to the 4 Romanian Boys?
Defeaters only has 1. Elisio. The Albanian sweetheart. The god of Albania, so to speak. Very well loved in the community. extremely skillful player, but when he's on his own, it's only going to allow him to do so much in this game. Survival is the name of the game for him at this point. New Generation putting up a good fight, taking out one of the old Rejection players, just as the next circle pops up and it goes right into the heart of Rexpect. Their dip is in the center.
Rexpect could... I think Rexpect, no one's going to really push onto Rexpect. Everyone's going to try and edge into this last circle and fight it out. So Rex might just have their work cut out for them. The Noisy Boys position, you see where Kimmy's scoping in right there. Noisy Boys, they have a clear sightline of that hillside. So the Noisy Boys could just rotate there late, control it, push away other teams. So I think Noisy Boys have a good setup, if executed correctly, to pick up not just a lot of kills, but potentially the chicken dinner.
I would say New Generation is stuck in a... Sorry, should I say all Rejection is stuck in a rock and a hard place down in a dip. But luckily, QILIN are stopping New Generation from pushing down and taking those shots off. You saw a knock on the bangs. It means they have to get the revive and rethink their strategy. It might be better off them to kind of trail along the road and hover into the edge of the circle. Phase 5 Blue Zone's already closing in. ENTROPIQ haven't moved. They do still have the very edge of the circle, but now they will have to start to massively protect it, because last fight, the only way they're getting into the edge is by taking this fight against ENTROPIQ.
Last fight saw the same thing ENTROPIQ saw. We have circle right on this edge of this wall, so this engagement is forced. Last fight is willing to take this one. They have 4 up. They have a nice spread onto the ENTROPIQ team. This could easily go either way. Small advantage to last fight though, but let's see how well they can pull this one out.
Beg for mercies in the kill feed. I'm noticing that one, and aid by Florin, looking to catch him off guard. I don't... No, that didn't quite get a knock. Why are you trying to move the buggies, ENTROPIQ? I understand that you're at the very bottom of the standings, but if anything, this should put you in a position where you have nothing to lose, everything to gain. Show your fire, show your power. Sarah on the side of the wall has to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. It's not just the bullets of their opponents in front of them, but to be fair, a few teams around them could put them under pressure and get a couple of third-party shots on board. That's why your positioning counts so much more importantly in this firefight. Florin taking his time. Sushio's knocked, by the way, so Reki might be looking to get that revive on board. Taking his time, he's going to go out in the open. That's a big F in my eyes. I knew that wasn't going to work, but he was forced to try and pull it off. Reki, not the last player alive. Going to stay behind cover while ENTROPIQ, they hold down their tiny corner, the edge of the circle.
I know the team name is called Last Fight, but that was a complete opposite of their team name. That was more like Last Fizzle. They literally, as a 4-man team, fizzled out of existence. They did not take the fight to ENTROPIQ at all. But okay, let's move on over to the other side of things. QILIN gets taken out by all Rejection and the third party right there. The Noisy Boys, I told you, they had a clear sightline up to that hill spot. I think that's, Agon took them out. And now with this new circle, as predicted, the Noisy Boys, they could win this game if they play it out correctly. They still have 4. Now they got the high ground. This could be it for them.
9 kills for the Noisy Boys so far. Beautiful way to start off day 3 of the PMCO EU Wildcard Finals. QILIN are taken down. XTEAM are still alive. They only have 2 players up, and they've been able to fend off Mega Power in the north. Desperate push from Sanhok, driving to the edge of the hillside by the side of the road. It's in the circle. Technically protected by the Noisy Boys, but if the Noisy Boys has sniffed that location out, they will want to shut him down sooner rather than later, because that's how the Noisy Boys are really going to create a controlling spread inside this phase 6, depending on, of course, where the next circle goes.
So the Noisy Boys are doing great, but here's the problem. 4 Romanian Boys are still alive, and they picked up 5 kill points themselves already, and they still have 3 players up. This is what I'm talking about. Consistency is not going to get you to pass up 4 Romanian Boys. You need those big bang out games that the Noisy Boys are looking to set themselves up for this game.
Backfire, chucking a nade. I think he knows where Bobby is. Does take a tickle of damage in the smoke, but Backfire won't be aware of that. A third party, technically, from both Rexpect and the Noisy Boys gets a knock onto Backfire out in the open. Very little smokes on board because they used a lot of them for the fight against last fight. Sound throws a nade in the direction of 4 Romanian Boys. ENTROPIQ, focus on one direction. You either take a fight to the left or fight to the right. Don't split. You're just not that strong enough at the moment. Sorry for skill goes down. We're left with 5 teams.
The last 5 teams, and Rex still alive. That's rotation paying off.
Yes,
huge,
sir.
And the Noisy Boys continuing to make noise, working their sides, working their angles. Once they clear this left side, they will have 50% of the map control within their reach.
And if they keep on going, it could look like they're going to have 50% of the kills in the lobby. 14 secure for them in game 1. That's why I highlighted Beg for Mercy in the kill feed earlier. Their fight might not have been shown, but I see you, Beg for Mercy. I see you, the Noisy Boys. I'm always watching because I know you're a damn strong team. But now the 4 Romanian Boys are going to get closer to the Noisy Boys. Rexpect go down. Pappy's position can only hold them out for so long. Credit where it's due, though, to ENTROPIQ. They've gotten themselves into the top 3. That does deserve something, but at the end of the day, it's all down to the top 2 teams. Realistically, the fight is on as the Noisy Boys look to close that gap against 4 Romanian Boys. Redox is knocked down.
The boys. It is boy on boy action. Which boys are gonna come out on top? I mean, ENTROPIQ is still there. ENTROPIQ's got 2. They could create some mishap, but they got that hard zone shift and anything. It looks like they're just gonna be fodder for the boys. They're just gonna be kill points for either of the 2 boys. See, now the advantage, I will definitely have to say, go to the Noisy Boys positioning, and they have 4 up compared to the 3 of Romanian Boys.
And I was going to say they should focus on one direction. It seems like that's the case. Look at Mazzaro, though, on the other side. A beautiful flank, stab in the back. Gets a knock on the price. Gonna close the candle, turn that light off. Redox goes down. Wix is left on his own. He may be able to build a website, but he's not going to be able to build this 1v4. And that's the Noisy Boys closing out game 1 of the day.
We got a fight. We got a chase going on. The chase is on. We said this today is all about the chase, and the Noisy Boys put their pedal to the metal, and they are starting that chase. And as predicted, even if a team does really good, the 4 Romanian Boys, though, they're going to keep running it. They're not going to just fold over and get a 1-point game, 2-point game, 3-point game. They just got second place, and as big as that standout, I think that's the most amount of points actually. All PMCO. The Noisy Boys just secured the record high. We'll go into the rankings just shortly. Even though they secure that record high, they need to secure some more of those, and still
for sure
rely on the 4 Romanian Boys to maybe mess up a game or 2.
Yeah, let's have a look at the match rankings and see how many points was secured by the Noisy Boys. A giant of a game, and it justifies why Beg for Mercy said for me there's still 8 games to go. There's still life in the blood of this Albanian team. 35 points, 20 kills, just soaked up the bodies of the lobby. And the heartbeat is going strong in the Noisy Boys. Really couldn't have asked for a better start for them today. Seriously happy for them.
That's 1/4 of the lobby. Total of 64 players in the lobby. You take out the 4 that's on your own team, you got 60 players. They killed 20 out of the 60. That's 1/3 of the lobby going to the side of the Noisy Boys. And my competitive side is just so happy right now. I called it, didn't I? I said from that position that Noisy Boys had, they can take that hilltop. It's within their control. They have a really good chance of winning the game. I call that like by circle 5 or 6, and it makes me so happy to see competitive teams see the same things I see and execute it perfectly. So shout outs to you, Agon. You made me proud, Agon. I'll give you a Twitter shout out or something. I'll post something on my Twitter. I love that first game out of the Noisy Boys.
For sure. Now, I'm going to hope that this isn't going to be a deja vu of yesterday. Because what happened yesterday was the Noisy Boys started off with a banger of a game with 31 points in yesterday's game on. But then they followed it with a 4-pointer, 8-pointer, and a 0-pointer. So that's why I kind of highlight the consistency, because the volatility of starting off with a 35-point game needs to be matched with, doesn't have to be another 35-pointer, but it has to be another 15 to 25-pointer game for the Noisy Boys. So I hope that is the case. Credit to the ENTROPIQ as well. 4th place, 11 points. I will always try and highlight that. It wasn't the most dominating, controlling game. Yes, they were able to pick apart last fight, and that really helped them secure 3rd place. 11 points for them. Let's move on to the second page and see who really did kind of poorly in this game one.
Yeah, and XTEAM actually came in 3rd place, by the way. So XTEAM, they're staying very consistent, just under the radar. So I want to give them some credit too. So shout outs to XTEAM. You guys are doing great. I'm not gonna lie, it's good. But now for the second page of teams, these teams not so good on that first game. QILIN, Defeaters, Daos, FTY. There's 3, like, I want to say there's 3 more games to go, but it's all about the boys right now. It's the 4 Romanian boys and the Noisy Boys. So next game, I hope to see one of these teams show up, put themselves on the first page, cause some noise. And if you want to cause some noise, you can always just drop on the 4 Romanian boys. Come on. Make this interesting for us. Make this interesting for the stream. And you can also make a name for yourselves. Like, legit, I said at the beginning of the show, there is good reason to drop on them and show that you can actually beat this team and you can show that you have potential in the future.
You're dead right. 4 Romanian boys, Noisy Boys, they're putting up a fight, but can they continue it in the next game? We're going to go for a break. When we come back, it's going to be Sanhok. Don't go away. We'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to day number 3 of the PMCO EU Wildcard Finals. We've had one game down, won gigantically by the Noisy Boys, however, followed closely by 4 Romanian boys in second place. You brought up the narrative, Zute, of you know, somebody needs to shut down 4 Romanian boys, other teams hot dropping them. Should the Noisy Boys think about looking to shut down 4 Romanian boys and hot drop on them?
That's a really good point. So earlier I was saying any team can do it or should do it, more so the teams near the bottom. As for the Noisy Boys, they still need enough points to catch up, and then they could shut them down and pass them up. Because right now, even if the Noisy Boys take out the 4 Romanian boys, right, it's going to change up the way they rotate drastically. It's going to change up their game plan drastically. So they get those 4 kill points, and then maybe they pick up 3, 4 more points, 5 more points. That's not enough, though, to catch up, because they still have a huge lead. 4 Romanian boys still have a huge lead. I would say around when there's a 20-point gap difference, then maybe they could hop drop and then try and close out the game.
That's definitely interesting. Just like our fantastic sponsors are. Enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. Thank you to Xiaomi for sponsoring the PMCO EU Wildcard region of PMCO. Game number 2, we're heading on to Sanhok. Now, XTEAM did win yesterday's Sanhok game, if I'm not mistaken. If my memory serves me correct. They did have a half-decent result in game 1, overshadowed, of course, by the top 2 teams. If they can follow it up with a second chicken dinner, we could see a glimmer of hope from XTEAM.
Right, XTEAM, if they get the chicken dinner this match, their name is kind of thrown into the hat just as well. So let's get onto the plane and see where this Sanhok match is going to take us. Let's see the chaos that will happen.
Lane path is dead center. Nothing to really talk about there. So XTEAM, they're currently on 99 points. So at the moment, they're only kind of 21 points behind, or 22 points behind the Noisy Boys. Yes, okay, they're a good 70 plus points behind 4 Romanian boys. But if they were to hypothetically get a 25-point game, including a chicken dinner, and 4 Romanian boys were to get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, which is a possibility, I would say that it does put them a little bit closer into the running. Time will tell. It's up to them to control their destination, as this phase 1
here we go.
Very good. Yes, sir.
Finally, we get the circle we've been asking for this whole time. We are on to the northwestern island. Now, this zone has not happened even once this entire PMCO stage so far. So this is going to be new for a lot of these teams. They're going to have to, adapt what they're doing and kind of plan ahead, but without really being able to plan ahead, because we haven't seen any of these teams do these rotations yet.
Oh, Hater. Kind of getting caught off guard by Style. Now, Styles on his own is a 1v1. Hater's been able to pick up a gun, but that lovely Molotov thrown by Style will catch a Hater, and down he goes. Back into the lobby, feels bad, man. Quick kill for defeaters means that they can continue looting up. In this circle, they're all the way on the eastern side of the map. So their journey into this phase 1 is going to be a little bit trickier. Yes, you highlighted phase 1 is indeed on the Northwest Island, which we haven't seen in this PMCO. But I would argue that it's still heavily enough on the mainland and the Southwest Island that if we have a phase 2 shift, let's say by the trifecta compound, it might not be a mountain finish. So teams, of course, will have to think about that.
It might not necessarily end on the mountain. So let's take an overview of the map again. Well, the way I see it, right? This circle, it favors FTY. They have that bridge access right now to take across to that island. Fair. Crossing onto that island is the most difficult part. Another team that has good access is XTEAM. that lands just south of boot camp. Mega Power, they can swim right across. That's another good another team that has pretty decent access. This circle won't throw them off too much.
Yeah.
For Romanian Boys, on the other hand, they might end up running to XTEAM, but there is still a good enough spacing for 4 Romanian Boys to also rotate in without being too heavily affected. As for the rest of the lobby, that's where the big question mark pops up, because I'm looking at the mini-map right now, and even me, like, it's like, I'm not too sure if I see a clear-cut path for any of those other teams in.
Possible rotation, Sute? Maybe from Rexpect, maybe from all Rejection Gaming. That could work out.
Yeah, rotations could come into play here with this circle.
Now, for 4 Romanian Boys, I suppose I would recommend them to go into the hill overlooking the trifecta compound. And not only is it relatively good in the circle that if it's a phase 2 shift to the mainland or Southwest Island, they'll be able to react to that a little bit cleaner. But also, is that high ground where they'll be able to spread out a little bit more and maybe catch a quick kill, manipulate the traffic of teams rotating around them, of course, create that metaphorical circle around them that I always talk about. I do find it interesting that FTY are committing very deep to the kind of Northwest Island. They're all the way on the coastal line of the western side of that Northwest Island. I kind of disagree with that. I feel like that's kind of putting all of your eggs in one basket and could leave them exposed on phase 2.
Potentially. Another thing I think they're looking for is maybe the botations. They might be looking for players to take that boat across. Salazar,
okay,
wide in the open, take some shots and backfire, fires some shots right back at Salazar. Just a little, you know, like, hey, I'm over here. Hey, you're over there. All right, let's keep rotating. Nothing too big happening out of that. And vehicles, by the way, ENTROPIQ, they've got a few. Vehicles might actually come into huge. Whoa!
Well, vehicles doesn't get you kills. It leaves you in a position of getting killed as one of the ENTROPIQ players goes down. Starkey as well. By the side of Rock left exposed. A lovely push from Rexpect. Sorry, not Rexpect, New Generation, my apologies. For a second, I presumed it was Rexpect because they'd moved away, but they, of course, moved into the loving arms of New Generation.
Yeah, but you'll be saying Rexpect very soon. As Rexpect, they hear all this gunfire, and they are encroaching up. They're looking for the sneaky third party. Now, New Generation, they've all committed downhill to try and finish off this ENTROPIQ fight. If they don't get a player back uphill, Rexpect is going to be the victors of this three-way fight.
Especially because a knock is just being pulled off by Sans onto Keme. That leaves New Generation exposed even more, and you see it right in front of you. Pappy on the bangs. That's a really good start. New Generation now down to just one. Blind is left on his own. Yes, okay. A knock was pulled out onto one of the Rexpect players, but to me, you called it. That third party, beautifully executed because New Generation didn't watch their back.
Yeah, these are the teams on the edge with that hard circle shift. These are the fights that we might not expect to see happen. I see in the kill feed, meanwhile, XTEAM getting some grenade kills onto Mega Power. We got another three-way fight on the other side of the map happening now. Hopefully the spectator will go over there as this fight, Rexpect, I mean, they seem like they're in firm control. New Generation right there, blind hiding in that smoke. ENTROPIQ, I think ENTROPIQ's safe. They're in the clear. They're in the buildings. All these teams are far out of zone. I don't think Rex is going to keep pushing this unless they get another knock onto ENTROPIQ.
Definitely. Mega Power being taken down, the first team to be eliminated. So now it comes down to kind of 2 in that area. More importantly, it's 4 Romanian Boys that's close to XTEAM. New Generation are eliminated. Rexpect pick up another kill for themselves, still up as a full squad. ENTROPIQ will probably survive away from that one as they move through the coastal line. Phase 1 blue zone is closing, and about halfway through, all Rejection Gaming have been consistently punished by defeaters. On a side note, The Noisy Boys, they're not on that northwestern island. They're on the coastal line overlooking it. On the mainland, Redox is knocked down.
That is one player down, and they actually got shot from the top angle on top of the temple area. That's last fight up there. If the circle keeps going up there, last fight should be able to pick up a bunch of kill points. You see this angle. Oh, beautiful. I remember when I played comp and I used to be in this spot when the circle was on us. It was the best feeling in the world on Sanhok.
You like you're the king of the world on top of the mountain, literally and mentally. See if they can turn that into a crown of kills. One shiny diamond for each kill secured. Or Romanian Boys, they might want to back off.
Yeah, they don't have much cover. This giant sloping hill, though, it slopes around from left to right deep enough so that they are kind of out of sight from teams downhill of them.
Okay.
So if you didn't know, it looks like they're wide in the open. They're in the middle. They're going to get third party. They're going to get shot in the back from any amount of distance. But that hill goes so high up and it slopes and angles out so much. They could kind of just hover around there and sit there without too much worry. And with that new circle shift, we are going to see it potentially end on that temple. For sure, it's ending on the northwestern island. Defeaters on the very northeast taking that rotation. And Redox with the grenade opening. This is the cue ahead for 4 Romanian Boys to push on in.
Still got to be careful of the third party, though. From last fight. They're hugging the walls of the building enough where nothing can really come into contact from them. Knocks with the nades, with the mollies will definitely make a big difference. Gold just burns XTEAM to the ground. 3 players taken out just like that. 1 player left. No, make that no. Yes, Psyox is still kept going. 4 Romanian Boys, they pick up another bunch of kills. Very, very good. Very cohesive by 4 Romanian Boys. Do you think that engagement was a product of the circle kind of shifting more on towards that northwest island?
I think they were going to take that fight no matter what. With the way I've noticed 4 Romanian Boys play, they execute everything pretty well. And whenever you have teams pressed inside compounds, you do have the advantage. Speaking about advantage, though, TipTop trying to take advantage of this third party. Now, 4 Romanian Boys, they do have 1 player knocked that is not revivable. He doesn't have a teammate there just yet. So it's a 4v3. And just like 4 Romanian Boys did to XTEAM, TipTop does the same. They press in with the grenades. And this could be an early outing for 4 Romanian Boys.
What goes around comes around. 4 Romanian Boys. Let's see if they can survive. Nice nade being thrown up by Redox. Still 2 players left up, and that is wonderfully executed onto Cold. TPDD being pre-fired by Bright, but Bright, is going to feel the wrath of a nade. Another one being cooked up, it seems, by Bright before CPDD, and I think he realizes that, so he has to back away. Playboy could be able to give a little bit of information if he moved away from the shack. I know he's staying there and trying to survive, and Bright takes advantage. Lovely shots by him.
Bright can see the light, and he can also see through that smoke. That knock through the smoke was crucial, and the third party finally coming through from last fight, and just like that, we are reset into a 3v2 scenario. Playboy is still bleeding out.
I was
just gonna say,
he knocked down his own teammate. He knocked down his own teammate with the molly.
There was a that puts a stop to things, but it doesn't exactly stop this fight. This fight's gonna continue to go on. Both teams will reset to a 3v3 now.
Sorry for Skill is at the bottom of the hill. Might hear those shots and venture their way upwards. Phase 2 Blue Zone is closing in. Just as I say that, and that's what I technically worried about with 4 Romanian Boys, and that's why I asked the question if their engagement was a product of the circle shifting up north, because there's always a chance you can get backstabbed, and I really believe that was part of it. You brought up a good point where 4 Romanian Boys, they'll execute that play if they feel they can, and they did, and they even survive now as a trio.
How do they still have 3 alive? That was some
Four
of the
Romanian boys, man.
It's wild. I said this on off broadcast with you the other day, right? I said 4 Romanian boys is looking like 100%. They're looking like a PMPL team. No questions asked. PMPL team near the top, near the middle. They might be a PMGC ready team, and now that's a huge compliment. And that's a huge might.
Whoa.
I'm not saying it. I'm saying they might. I'm saying there's potential.
Okay.
I'm saying there's potential. Okay. And when I say PMGC,
nice save.
They could be the last place team on PMGC. Like in that terms. Right?
Yeah,
I'm not saying
I understand.
PMGC
look
ready. Anyways, I just want I want to say that because they survived that onslaught. They did the initial push perfectly. They defended perfectly. I just really love these boys, man. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
No, look. I totally understand where you're coming from, because when we've spoken so highly of them, there's only so many kind of words you can repeat and use to talk about them, right? So I see where you're coming from. You're trying to add that extra little bit of weight by mentioning the word PMGC. So I really understand. However, we have to talk about kind of this game, because it's not just 4 Romanian boys, right? Phase 3, it did center up towards the Noisy Boys. They are in that compound by the eastern edge of the northwest island. The mountain is to the west of them. It's going to be a little bit tricky. La Familia are still in hard thing. The feeders are trying to find the opening. FTY are still going in this game. Well, last fight, they had the 4-man spread on top of the mountain.
Yeah, the Noisy Boys right now pretty much center circle, and they are just relaxing. And with this zone shift, it went to the hard northeast, so we're going to see a lot of teams trying to circle around and circle in. But we're down to 11 teams already. We haven't seen this circle yet, and here's the product of this circle. A lot of teams, I don't know if they were ready to fight or if they even wanted to fight, but a lot of teams ended up doing this rotation for the very first time, and they ran smack into each other, back to back to back. 5 teams are already out on this Sanhok game.
Yep. Definitely think it's a product of a unusual circle for this PMCO. So, and that's always going to make a difference. Big time. Sorry for Skill. Moved into Camp Alpha. Although that's not inside this Phase 3 circle. ENTROPIQ are still in the mainland along with Daos Legion and QILIN. So I do worry about those 3 teams specifically. Rexpect moving in close to that southwestern edge of the circle, but Phase 4 is coming upon us. Is it going to be an actual mountain finish of Sanhok? Or is it going to split? It is kind of, but it's definitely more towards that coastal line.
This, I see a really good ending already. We're going to get 4 Romanian boys on top of that mountain to west of the Noisy Boys. Right? They're going to hold their spot down up there. A lot of teams are going to try and push up there because that's majority of the circle that's accessible. They're going to do the noise, or they're going to do 4 Romanian boys things and push everyone away, pick up a bunch of kills, and then we're going to get another 4 Romanian boys versus the Noisy Boys. But we're just going to see if the circle is going to go downhill or uphill. Call it in now. Call me a movie director. I want it to happen. Make it happen.
Did last fight miss an opportunity to send a couple of players in the last circle to that kind of eastern side of the mountain, right? That 4 Romanian boys are heading towards. Should they have put a player or 2 there before the circle shifted?
Ooh, it's possible, but it depends on how good the team synergy and how good the team is. I've seen that split work, but only out of like the highest of levels. So La Familia, last fight they could have tried, but with their skill level, like nothing against them, it's probably not going to work out. So I'd rather see teams at this point do what they're comfortable with, right? Because this is the very few last days. Don't try new stuff right now.
QILIN, Gugu goes down. I will, of course, let the viewer know that all 4 players did actually go for that rotation onto the eastern side of the island, and they pulled it off. Sorry, eastern side of the mountain, should I say. And they did pull it off. I love the point you bring up about how it can work for really the highest of teams, so to speak. The Familia, Evil Boy, gets a knock into one of the defeaters, I believe, on board. FTY made the push into the edge of the circle. It was actually onto one of the FTY players. The water, the swimming action, the next circle showing up real soon. And this is where, thank you, Mustache Dave, Papa Blue comes into play.
Papa Blue is ready to play. Just so many of these players caught in the blue. Defeaters might just go out completely to the blue. They're swimming. Swimming's not too fast unless if you're like Michael Phelps, but I don't think we got a Michael Phelps around here. They're going to be cooking in that blue zone. Daos Legion trying to use that UMP long range. I'm sorry, but as strong as the UMP is, the M4 is just a bit better. But Daos Legion, they're in zone and they're safe underneath that bridge. The circle coming out. Where are we headed? And we do go on to the Noisy Boys.
Rexpect. They have a compound in front of them. 4 Romanian boys. They need to send something in their direction of that compound. They need to try and control their stranglehold. It might be too much to handle as Daos Legion looking for the push onto ENTROPIQ. They've gotten 2 knocks. The third is in the water, is having to dash into the sea and hope for the absolute best. I did say I'm kind of worried about the teams still in the mainland, but credit to Daos Legion. They are one of the teams that can at times make the most of being on the edge of the circle and being in a little bit of a compromising position. They failed, but it was a good push.
Yeah, they pushed uphill to that position to make sure they don't just try and run away and get shot at in the back. So I actually really like that by Daos. And this rotation, it's a YOLO rotation, but at this point in the game, that's kind of what you got to do. Last fight, still have a little bit of zone up here. They're trying to milk it for as much as they can. They're trying to pick up as many of these long-range kills before they're forced to hop down, so I like this. You see it right now. Got a few players rotating in. Reki, there's one right there. Oh, the rock gets in the way, and that player is sending it into a different team.
FTY went for a bit of a split between a hard push and a heal strat. It didn't work out. Rexpect do get the better of them. 4 kills for the Spanish side. Humasta, right now, they're looking pretty good. 4 Romanian boys have looked to go for a bit of a push, but they might have met their match in the open side of the road. The next circle shifts up. It goes onto the coastal line of the island, by the way, away from both of the compounds that's been held onto by these teams. But Bright finds a glimmer of hope and gets a knock into one of the Rexpect players.
I think this is the end of the line for the 4 Romanian boys. I see no possible way for them to make it into this next zone.
Yeah.
And nobody is in this next zone right now. The Noisy Boys looking to be the team in the best shape. Last fight, of course, also has 4, but you see it now. They're forced to come down on that mountain and run wide in the open. They do have a car, though. That could change things.
Well, it's only a 2-man car. It'll get them 2 across the road, but that noise, of course, will divert the attention of the Noisy Boys indeed. 1, 2, Uniflu, 3 more. Give me more. Sushio's the last player up for last fight. The Noisy Boys pick up their 5th kill. I like the fact that the Noisy Boys aren't committing too quickly to the edge of the circle. Yes, it might compromise their entry, but if it means they pick up more kills, more squad wipes, technically better placement points, that is a plus for them and a plus in my eyes. Maybe they haven't seen Daos Legion, but a third party from Rexpect stops that one. Gives hope to the Noisy Boys.
That timing was perfect. He was literally in the animation of throwing that grenade and then just shot in the back. Gives the Noisy Boys a little bit of a break. And Bizarro, 1 HP, popping out, picking up that finish. Rex has already set up, though, while the Noisy Boys is contending with all the teams in the back. But there's one more player, the ENTROPIQ player, hiding in the water right behind Rexpect.
He could be the reason why Rexpect don't take this game. He could be the reason why the Noisy Boys takes this chicken dinner. Of course, 4 Romanian boys are pulling off the heel strat. You said there's no way they were going to make it across the road into the circle. So the heel strat, that plan B, was going to be integral. But a lovely nade from Beg for Mercy gets a knock on the Bardo. He's been confirmed. Hasbaluna and Salazar left up, but the blue zone is encroaching ever more onto the Noisy Boys. Bimmy is the last one up. Only one first aid. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. Looking to confirm the kill onto Bardo. Well, Starkey, he's made some noise, and Salazar is going to be looking in the direction of Starkey. For Romanian Boys, he's still alive. Top 3 finish for the Romanian team. Looking to continue to close the gap, but at the end of the day, this 1v1 comes in between. Bright, he gets the kill. He gets the squad wipe. He's looking for the final blow. Doesn't quite make it, but ENTROPIQ, they get the chicken dinner. What the hell? Shades of PMGC, Zute? Shades of PMGC? Remember when Team Secret did that to Blue Bees? Man.
Check this. Okay. If Rexpect hit his grenade onto ENTROPIQ, because those grenade battles landed really good. If Rexpect killed ENTROPIQ, and then 4 Romanian Boys came in like the way they did,
that would have been a chicken dinner.
So, like I said, there's no way 4 Romanian Boys are making it into this circle. So instead, 4 Romanian Boys.
Well, you were right.
I don't need to make it into this circle. I'm just gonna shoot them from in the blue, get another kill, get another place. They finished 2nd place, and I was already gonna just be saying like, oh my god, 4 Romanian Boys out-healed. Right, they out-healed the Noisy Boys because it's between them two, so they already did better. Than
exactly.
The Noisy Boys by healing it off, and I thought that was it. I thought that was like, they're better. Romanian Boys, they're better. And then he picks up a kill point and another placement from deep in the blue, and there was a world where they get that chicken dinner. If that grenade from Rexpect landed a little bit better, okay, let's go into the match rankings.
I know. Exactly. Let's have a look at the match rankings. I know there's so many like, what if this, what if that. At the end of the day, it ended up being an ENTROPIQ chicken dinner. But 4 Romanian Boys with 9 kills and those placement points got 21 in total. The Noisy Boys, I don't want to say they relied a little bit too much on. Actually, no, they didn't rely too much on placement because they got 8 kills. Let's give them credit for that. But this is why we brought up the conversation of whether or not the Noisy Boys should maybe think about dropping on 4 Romanian Boys, because the consistency the Romanian team are showing is that it's becoming increasingly harder for Noisy Boys to really make a big, and I mean like a big, impact in closing that gap.
So we were saying some of these other teams need to take the fight to 4 Romanian Boys. That last game, we saw multiple teams try to fight the 4 Romanian Boys, and none of them
survived.
It was like 2 to 3 teams, and the 4 Romanian Boys only ended up losing 1 player. Not only did they come out on top, they only lost like 1 player. It's crazy. And like in game number 1,
it's wild.
On Erangel, they lost 1 player on rotation, and then they ended up getting 2nd place with a bunch of kills. This game they got a bunch of kills, lost 1 player, and ended up getting 2nd place again with the med strat in the blue. It's just absolutely insane what the 4 Romanian Boys are doing. I said this could be a PMGC team. Yes. I'm going to throw them onto the PMGC level. They could be the last place team of PMGC. I don't care. I think they are a PMGC team with these performances right now.
Resilience is incredible. Let's move on to the second page of this Sanhok game point standings. 3-2, 2-2, 1-1-1. You know, there's not really much to say other than we can technically give a good few of these teams a bit of a pass based on what we talked about with the circle, right? Unusual for Sanhok in the PMCO. It's the first time we've seen that Northwest Island. And to be fair, like, It was really heavily looking like it was going to be even that kind of mountain finish. And then it just decided to hard shift and yeet itself away and go to that coastal line of the island. That's quite difficult to deal with for a good few of these teams.
Those shifts were unnatural too. We already had a very different circle going to the Northwest Island, and then those circle shifts were not very like common as far as Northwest Island circles go. It went all the way to the shore side, and ENTROPIQ, that they got the chicken dinner. That player had to hop off that ridge, that mountaintop on the far northeast on the other island, swim all the way over, and then just like Navy SEAL style from out of the water, and then they took that chicken dinner. Like that in it deserved that in of itself was also a movie. And 4 Romanian Boys did a movie, and then we got the whole saga trilogy movie of the boys between the Noisy Boys. Man, this PMCO final has been shaping up to be quite the show.
Yeah, big time. Big time. At the end of the day, the battle is still realistically between the top two. That's the main storyline. With 2 more games to go, let's see if that storyline can continue or if we'll see a bit of a third team into the mix. Gonna go for a quick break, but we'll see you guys back for Miramar. Man, this is a beautiful, beautiful PMCO EU Wildcard Finals Day 3. We've had 2 fantastic games so far. The fight is on for that singular PMPL spot. Let's bring up the overall standings because the players are ready. I know me and Zute are ready, but we do want to show you guys how good of a lead 4 Romanian Boys continue to hold over the Noisy Boys.
Insane. It's just absolutely insane. Like, it looks like the Noisy Boys haven't even caught up at all, but the Noisy Boys have had a record high amount in a single match with 35 points, and the Noisy Boys just had 16 points. Like, you hear 35 points game 1, 16 points game 2, and you think like, oh yeah, that team's doing really good. They're definitely catching up to whoever they're trying to catch up to. But then you flip it on the flip side, 4 Romanian Boys, that lead is still crazy huge. Crazy.
Yep. Just like trying to, dangle a donut in front of my face while holding me back. You're just kind of keeping me at arm's length while teasing it in front of me. And let's move on to the second page as well real quickly. To be honest, there's really not much to talk about. The only team I'd like to highlight is ENTROPIQ. They started today in 16th. 2 fantastic results, including the chicken dinner. Dropped to 10th. Massive props to that.
Yeah, at least you're not last. But it's all about the first place. It's not about the second place or the third or the fourth. It's just all about that first place spot.
You're dead right. You guys at home, you can enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G, the wonderful sponsors of this year's PMCO EU West EU Wildcard full split. We're heading over to Miramar. This is statistically 4 Romanian Boys' strongest map. 30 points per Miramar game across the 2 we've had. That is gigantic, and it makes the fight even harder for the Noisy Boys.
Yeah, Miramar is the toughest map, and the toughest team is the 4 Romanian Boys. No questions asked. Let's just get into the game. Let's just keep watching the action. I almost don't need to commentate anymore. I can let the 4 Romanian Boys do the show for us. But let's head in. Let's get this one going.
The playing path is upon us, and you're dead right about kind of there's just not much we need to say because it speaks for itself, and it is speaking for itself in Noisy Boys. The opposite end of 4 Romanian Boys, 30 points per game in Miramar. The Noisy Boys currently have an average of only 7 points per Miramar game. Not only do I find that surprising in this lobby, but I also find it surprising because I know they're made up of players that in their previous teams have shown a lot of strength and a lot of control in the Miramar map. So I hope they kind of gather themselves together. They drop in a really good place, which is San Martin. It has a lot of rotational ability within that. Just got to make it count.
The playing path really far to the south. We might see some issues for the teams in the northern section. It really depends on that first circle pop up. And so we've seen almost every circle on every map. And on Miramar, though, oh, well, perfect. That's exactly what I was going to ask for. I was going to say, we haven't seen a southeastern circle and a potential city finish on Miramar. But the PUBG mobile gods have blessed us once again with a beautiful circle to really just see what these teams got. And for the 4 Romanian Boys, that's a really good spot. And for the Noisy Boys, they're going to be looting Hacienda or the San Martin area. That's going to be a tricky rotation from that area of the spot down to the southeast.
Yeah. Very tricky. Fair play to Rexpect, by the way. They normally drop in Cruz Val on that quite southern plane path. They change up their drop spot, and they've been rewarded with a beautiful phase 1 circle for them. The islands are in play. I mentioned it last time we had an Eastern Circle phase 1 on Miramar, so I'm going to mention it now. Also great for the feeders who dropped in Impala. They're going to have a really clean and quick entry into a very high spread on the eastern side of the map. Outside of Los Leones might be an area they could go on the big mountainside, because they could look to even catch a couple of players off early on their rotations. But yeah, like you said, the Noisy Boys, I'm very interested and curious on how they're going to handle their rotation between the timing and exactly where they go. If you were them, Zute, what would you do?
From the Noisy Boys position, that's a really, really tough one, because even if you do a fast rotation, you're going to just be cutting straight in front of teams that are either rotating alongside you, or you're going to be rotating by where they're looting, because all of the road access ways lead into different teams' drop spots. So no matter how fast they rotate, they can't really get away with it. So I'm not saying they should edge, but they can rotate in little by little, and they're just going to have to adapt to the circles shift by shift. And it really comes down to their map terrain knowledge in certain areas of the map, that if there was a team there, how do they contest it, or how do they safely scout it? And it's just all, it goes all from there. It's just all about the adaptability and the inherent skills that this team has.
And that's why I think knowing off by heart every team's drop spot can really make a big difference when you're in the position that the Noisy Boys are in. Because if they know, they'll know that last fighter to the right of them, they'll know QILIN are kind of to the left of them, they'll know Mega Boys are down in Picado, right? And that can really help you dictate your rotation, your timing, your position, hovering in to those phase 2, phase 3 circles a little bit easier.
Yeah, it'll give you a good idea, but all it kind of tells you is like, hey, there's teams all around us. We got to be careful. Right? Maybe if you have studied them, maybe if you've studied these teams like a bunch, and you know down to their circle timings and their circle rotations down to the minute.
Fair enough.
You still got to rely on the fact that they're going to follow that plan down to the minute. Because if you think this team is going to rotate away at 4 minutes and you come in at 5 minutes, but for whatever reason, they're there for an extra couple of seconds, you rotate right by them and you could get some mishap happening, right? So as much studying, you know, so my point is you could study other teams as much as you can. Yeah, but you have to still adapt to things on the fly with these games. Yeah, and with a circle like this, there is no preset easy rotation for the Noisy Boys. Other situations, yeah, you could do a preset rotation. You can know this team is here, this team will rotate there. You preset your own way through. But this is such a hard, difficult shift down to the southeast that we haven't seen from this lobby before too often, that the Noisy Boys, no matter how much studying they've done, it's going to really come down to just adaptability for this game for them.
A lot of teams around the kind of Los Leones terrain, whether it's deep in the city or whether it's on the edge of it, 4 Romanian Boys are still where they started looting. Same with New Generation on the northern side of Los Leones. But you can see Mega Power, they started making that rotation from Picado in towards a, you know, outside of Los Leones terrain, the warehouses, the buildings that are in that kind of area. Rexpect, again, like I mentioned, benefiting from that phase 1, going onto mountain terrain to the southeast of Los Leones, the feeders moving away from Impala. I also love the rotation from La Familia. They dropped the Minas Generales. They're using the natural circle of La Bandita to stay safe while getting information and moving pretty swiftly in towards the center of this phase 1.
I'm loving the rotations out of a lot of these teams. They're rotating really fast. they're kind of just risking it just a little bit. They realize like, hey, this first rotation, we might get risk getting shot at by 1-2 teams, but if we stick to good pathings, it's worth it, right? Because this circle, we have no idea where it's gonna go, and it's in such an unfamiliar area. I would rather be a team that just kind of gets in there and we work from there rather than a team that completely edges. Except if you are an edge-based team and you have an edge strategy, which, by the way, it looks like the Noisy Boys, that's what they defaulted to. They haven't left San Martin yet, and by this time, their game plan is most likely to just edge the circles and work the hard shifts.
They have so much space in front of them from the edge of the circle moving into the center. They don't know that, but we do. Of course, we have to provide that information to you guys watching at home. Daos Legion still in the blue. Mega Power taking the shots onto XTEAM. That's where the early rotation for Mega Power has really benefited them just a little bit more for the time being. Able to stranglehold and essentially dictate XTEAM's position around this area. Really good play from them.
This Mega Power rotation is the Mega Power that we were used to seeing in the PMCO group stage. Just always fast rotating, getting the priority spot in the center on whatever circle comes up. A little too late for them to be playing, or at least rotating in this form, I would have to say. But hey, they can still show it's the same Mega Power. They just had some really off days, some really off games. So we're heading into the second circle. Let's take a look at where this one will be headed. Maybe the water. Oh, okay. Does central up quite nicely. ENTROPIQ on top of the giant mountains right in the middle. Yeah. But of course, there's a lot of different high ground separating the rest of this map out. It's pretty much sectioned into 5 different areas. So depending on where the next circle goes, it can completely change the outcome of the game right now.
Yeah, great rotation from ENTROPIQ. It's the kind of area that I recommended, or, you know, possibly would have seen the feeders go. FTY being pushed back a little bit by Rexpect again. They were here first. So they say to FTY, get off my lawn. That's not going to be bad for FTY because of that circle shift to be able to take advantage by moving a little bit deeper into that kind of southeastern edge of the map, closer to, let's say, Porto Pre. So there's a lot of high ground open area around that you can spread yourselves across. Or Rejection Gaming also going to look to take advantage of that. The Noisy Boys, they're going to feel this one a little bit more. They're moving in from the blue, but they've got Last Fight in front of them. They got TipTop in front of them. If a fight breaks out between those two teams, the Noisy Boys could take advantage of that. Agon, that driving was a little bit rough. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
The 4 Romanian boys here, or not the Noisy Boys. Here's the thing. They're doing what every other team is doing. They're thinking we're going to wrap around the edge, and they're going to end up running into teams. I missed the opportunity to say this. I don't know if they're stopping on purpose or if they're stopping because their cars around. But
fair enough.
But I missed the opportunity to say this. I was going to say I'm kicking myself in the butt for it. On Miramar, when you're edge rotating, you do the opposite of what you usually think you should do. You should just go straight in. Because if you think about it this way, teams that wrap, their purpose is to wrap and rotate late.
know.
Teams that go straight in, their purpose is to get to the center of the circle and go quickly. So if you just go straight in, but you go straight in late, you'll end up having a clear line of path just right into the circle. So
yeah, I remember you saying that to me. I remember you saying that to me during the PMCO NA split, and it stuck on to me, and that's why I even highlighted the gap they had between their San Martin and Los Leones. So I agree with you, but the Noisy Boys reacting quite well, but they're not exactly out of the woods.
Yeah, I just wanted to pat myself on the back, and I'm so happy you were like, yeah, Zute, you've said this before. You're not just saying this now because you're seeing the Noisy Boys get completely pummeled right now as they're trying to make this edge rotation work. Hopefully, they'll make it work. But, last fight, they know they have him pinched. They're going to commit to this. The last fight is going to go for a fight.
There is one player that's a bit more forward safely. I think that's Beg for Mercy. So he might be able to catch him off guard. It's Bimmy to open things up a second by Agon. They're turning it around. Last fight maybe biting off more than they can chew. There's a reason why the Noisy Boys are second in the standings. They might be in a bit of a pinch. They're looking to fight their way out of it. Daos Legion coming in from behind. Legion, maybe a third party. Yes, sir, indeed.
Oh, man. Just go straight in. Just go straight in late. This is what happens. I've seen this happen so much throughout my years of competing. That at some point I learned on Miramar, a trick to edging is to just go straight. Do not wrap. But for these three teams, hey, they'll learn. They'll definitely learn after this game, and that's the beauty of it. You live and you learn, or actually you die and you learn in this case, because one of these teams is about to go out. And the circle, by the way, has shifted the opposite of where we are. So everybody has still a long way to go after they finish this fight.
Yeah, I wish the servers were able to show the map at this stage, because that's a massive yeet to the southwestern side of the map. Puts Mega Power in a fantastic spot, as it does XTEAM. Maybe FTY if they can take out QILIN. You can see that they're currently losing it for the time being. The Noisy Boys, of course, trying to break away from this fight. Still 4 players up, I might add. For Romanian Boys, they're still in the heart of Los Leones. Biscay, we've seen what he's been able to do with the nades. Throws another one out, does tickle the body of Bo, but doesn't get a knock. That one will. Simple is going to be the one to pull that one off. Another one being thrown out by Biscay upstairs, followed by a Molly. That's beautifully done by FTY. Wonderfully played out. Knock comes through. Hey, we talk about Biscay with the nades. Simple was the man of the hour in those moments.
Now it's a 3v1 situation. This should be an easy closeout for FTY. Shouldn't be any problems. And there we go. FTY picking up 4 kills. They did end up losing 1 player. They secure themselves a decent position. Not very central, but off-center. Better than nothing. As for the other teams we saw in the Northeast, they're still trying to make their way in. And so it's all about the adaptation, right? I said it earlier. The Noisy Boys adapted to that fight very well, not losing a single player, but the circles is so unforgiving for those guys in the Northeast. They're still rotating in the blue. Let's just hope the next shift might help them out just a little bit.
I think luckily for them, there's like a clean cut road that they can use to like wrap around, even though it would still be in the blue. Again, there's such a lack of information. They have so little information they're going to have. Beg for Mercy is the first of their team to encroach into the edge of the circle on the southeastern side. New Generation still going. Rexpect, 0 kills. Hasbula is knocked down. Blind is going to feel the wrath as New Generation do what they can to hold on to this northern edge of the circle. 4 Romanian Boys are behind them. Rexpect sends in 1 player around with a vehicle to try and get an angle on board to shut Keme down. Bardo pulling off the first aid. Well, not the first aid, but the revive.
The circle has shifted, and what we're seeing right now is where the ending circle will be. It's shifted smack dab right onto the giant mountaintop that you see these teams contesting for. We got 3 teams showing up here. New Generation fighting Rexpect, and now Rex getting pushed in behind by TipTop, and all the meanwhile 4 Romanian Boys just watching the carnage unfold. Rexpect forced to retreat out of that. They're going to try and reposition themselves to take the fight with TipTop. I love this readjustment on the fly. This is good, but did they put themselves in a good position to continue to fight that?
Yeah, I love the reaction and adaptation. Unfortunately, they've lost 2 players. Sorry for skill for Romanian Boys on the northern edge of the circle. Romania versus Romania, I might add, is Rexpect are taken out. The TipTop, to the TipTop, but don't stop rocking as TipTop look to have a controlling position inside the circle. Daos Legion and Defeaters are fighting in the kill feed. But this is a pretty important engagement for Romanian Boys. Highlighted how good they are. Miramar, how good they've been so far in the PMCO finals. This next challenge is in front of them. Sorry for skill, looking to slow for Romanian Boys' journey into the PMPL.
They're trying, but it's not working. 4 Romanian Boys picks up another kill. They already have 4 kills. They actually have...
my
No, FTY has 5, but 4 Romanian Boys has 4 players alive and 4 kills. So looking strong, looking strong. What else is new? 4 Romanian Boys looking strong. Oh, okay.
Oh, Bobby.
Well,
oh, Bobby.
now they're tied.
Yeah,
Now
okay.
they're tied in kill lead
Yep.
for the lobby with 5.
The Noisy
So
Boys,
easy for them.
I know, right? The Noisy Boys still up as a 3-man team. They only lost 1 player on their rotation from the blue, and the phase 4 did ease a bit of pressure because they were already close to that side of the circle. Not in a confident position because there's a road in front of them, and I would argue that, you know, depending on where this next circle shifts, it could be incredibly difficult for them to move in. La Familia is close by. 2 of them. Last fight are fighting as well. TipTop, they're in a strong position. New generation definitely benefited from the fact that Rexpect got taken out.
Next circle is coming out on the screen now. 4 Romanian Boys, we see they are on the edge, but they could have taken the mountains at any point in the game because that's where they looted. They looted the city to the north, so I think they have a very well-cut plan for any circle shift and how to traverse the mountain. But this is a hard shift that I don't know if they have a good plan for because we're all the way down to the southwest now.
Credit to the Noisy Boys. They're already in this circle. They moved before it shifted. Shows, of course, their confidence. So far in today's run of games, they have focus on board. 4 Romanian Boys, they move across the road. Bangs has been spotted. I was wondering if he had been spotted out by 4 Romanian Boys. Now as Kime is knocked down, Bangs is left in his own, and the opening to control this position and control their entrance into the circle is becoming easier and easier. Kime confirmed, and that's kill number 6 for 4 Romanian Boys. They just keep on racking, stacking, and adding to their lead in the standings.
Yeah, there's a player behind them that could see them clear as day, and the 4 Romanian Boys just like, yeah, we don't care about them. Let's just do our thing. Like, I've never seen a team so confidently just ignore a player just because they can shoot back and that player is scared out of his mind to peek again. Like, 4 Romanian Boys, they're making their way into the circle. Daos Legion trying to make their way in just as well. TipTop on the defense. TipTop only have 2. The grenades are raining in. They are getting whittled down, but the third party out from ENTROPIQ.
I would argue even potentially 4th party because the Noisy Boys are technically gatekeeping all of these teams on the edge of the circle. This is phase 5. It really starts to hurt, and then 4 Romanian Boys entering into the mix just to add fuel to the fire, and ENTROPIQ are going down. 4 Romanian Boys find kill number 8 with Sava. Daos Legion misses a few of those shots, but he is, I believe, one of the teammates of Daos Legion. No, it's actually XTEAM that comes in to get the knock on the Bright. Kill confirmed by Sava of Daos Legion. This is so crazy for phase 5. I've got to give credit to 4 Romanian Boys. Just going in deep and hoping for the absolute best. Daos Legion down to, I think, 3 players. Make that 2 as simple as knocked out. Taken down by 4 Romanian Boys. Their 9th kill secured in this game.
There was like 3 to 4 teams working so hard to take that spot in the zone. And then just 4 Romanian Boys just self-invites them in and they're like, oh, we'll take this spot. It looks pretty good. And now
it's not
fair. It is not fair. Like, stop. Stop these guys. Just stop.
Whoa, somebody think of the children. My lord! Of course, XTEAM are doing a good job of trying to put a stop to 4 Romanian boys. Are the Noisy Boys inside the cave? Isn't this the area where the cave is outside of Los Leones? Yeah, because I often forget about it because I was wondering why do they look to be on top of 4 Romanian boys, but they're not shooting at them or not being shot at? Indeed, that's the case. 11 kills for the Romanian current leaders of the PMCO finals. XTEAM have 2 kills, still 4 players up. A spread on board. We can't forget about La Familia and Mega Power, who are still in this game, as well as the last player of Sorry for Skill.
Whew, I need to take a breather here. This
I know,
is
right,
the action has been so insane. Now, for Romanian boys, they have a little bit of zone up at the very top, which puts them in a great spot. But after it shifts off them, of course, the Noisy Boys are in a better position. But it almost doesn't matter if the Noisy Boys are in a better position than 4 Romanian Boys. 4 Romanian Boys just keep getting kills and they keep making it happen.
And I love the fact that they're kind of committing to this mountainside, because I think there's a lot of risk of being on top of this mountain. If the circle shifts away, they obviously have to move down, and there's very little entry point. But it makes sense, because by holding on to this high ground, they're going to look to push back, take out, pick off a few of the XT members before the next circle pops up. Of course, have to be aware of potential third parties. They're aware of it. Mega Power being picked off. We saw Sorry for Skill go down. Red Ox Bot picks up one after another. 12 kills. It doesn't even matter at this stage if they get the chicken dinner. They've gotten enough kill points that they continue to increase the gap at the top of the standings.
Oh my god. Okay, finally somebody shuts one of them up. Just for a little bit. Like I'm just okay, like have you played Training Room in PUBG Mobile? Have you gone to the Training Room before? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This 4 Romanian boys are playing Training Room right now. They're just shooting at everyone they can. This is a tournament, for God's sakes. This is not Training Room. Stop abusing everybody the way you are. Okay, thank God they didn't get zone, because if they got zone, it just I'd lose my mind. But okay, zone has shifted. It does go in the favor of XTEAM.
Yeah, but I would argue this isn't actually a bad shift for 4 Romanian boys. Like, not the worst shift in the world, because as much as it favors XTEAM, it means that they're technically going to be targeted by the likes of La Familia, by the Noisy Boys, right? So it's going to allow possibly 4 Romanian boys to third, fourth party, as well as kind of move in little by little. 15 seconds until the blue zone starts to close in. It is just 2 players up, so of course we'll make that journey a little bit harder. Looking for the golden opening as the Noisy Boys creating the smoke wall to move out of the cave, out of the darkness within and into the light of Miramar in this phase 7.
I think what this circle is good for 4 Romanian boys. The most important thing is that it doesn't give any other teams the circle. That means all these other teams are going to have to move out. And I was going to say they should stay up here and just shoot the rotators, because they are dead no matter what. Only 2 first aid kits though. So Playboy trying to heal it off. The rest of the teams pushing in. The Noisy Boys, they lose 1. La Familia still with 4. Looking good for them. It might come down to XTEAM and La Familia.
Definitely, although La Familia is kind of third-partying and took down one of the XTEAM players, that opens his door a little bit more on the Noisy Boys. You can see Packy98 chucked up a nade, not quite hitting the mark, but another one. 3 of the XTEAM players all bunched together. That's a no-go. A zombie is knocked down. Psyox is chunked down to about half health. You gotta disperse. You gotta move away, because it's not gonna stop. The smokes aren't gonna stop you from getting naded. Come on, move around, XTEAM. Psyox does create a little bit of space. The revive being played out. Phase 7 is in the arms of La Familia across the road. But we still have Noisy Boys alive. And the last player from FTY, let's be fair, he stayed quiet but simple. He's still going. I think he's been spotted out by Wasted. He does. Steps up. That's going to be the end of FTY.
I like the spread out of La Familia, taking full advantage of the control that they have across one side of the road. We're down to a 4v3, v2 situation. The Noisy Boys still alive, still kicking, but they only got 2.
You've only got 2 kills. Mazzaro dancing around the bullets by La Familia. XTEAM needs to join in on the fun if they're going to give the Noisy Boys any kind of chance. Beg for mercy, not spotted. He saw one of the La Familia players but didn't take the shots. I respect the trigger discipline. And Nade is going to get the knock on the wasted, and Molly being instantly responded by Beg for Mercy. La Familia, they're going to have to deal with 2 teams at once. This is going to be easier said than done. Going for the revive this late into the game. Okay, the response is there from the rest of the team, but the door is open for XTEAM to continue on in this fight. The Noisy Boys, I gotta give them credit for making as much noise as they have in this late stages of the game. The timing is absolutely crucial for all 3 of these teams. 3v4, v2.
The road side is the difference right now. We see La Familia trying to get an advantage crossing the road, and it's putting them at risk. But the Noisy Boys open one up onto the side of XTEAM. That is perfect for... Oh! But the triple trade!
Beautiful!
What is happening, Imperium?
Like I said, they had to try and deal with 2 teams at once, and now it comes down to Mazzaro. Beg for mercy! The Albanian players rocking on up, standing tall either side. Sanhok's left on his own, and that's going to be the Noisy Boys taking a chicken dinner.
The Noisy Boys. They were rotating on the edge from the northeast. We saw them get caught with 3 different teams deep in the blue. Then there's that hardship. Then they were cooking in the blue. I said it at the beginning of the game. This game is going to come down to the Noisy Boys' adaptability. That's what they have to rely on. And adapt they did at every minute of that game. I was kind of faulting them, saying, don't take the edge rotations. You should know better if you just go straight in. But hey, they adapted. So eat my words, and I did. But their adaptability trumps anything else in that game, and they got that chicken dinner.
Also, specific focus on Mazzaro and Beg for Mercy in those final circles. Seriously, like the beautiful ability to kind of control trigger discipline, not edge too far forward, was still putting pressure on La Familia and XTEAM, was wonderfully executed. And that is that kind of PMPL experience that does shine through when you're in those final moments. Because I would argue La Familia didn't focus on one side of that Phase 8 circle when they should have, right? They tried to technically take 2 fights at once. And I get it, but that's always going to leave you in a position of being third-party, which is exactly what happened. Let's move on to the match rankings, because outside of getting that chicken dinner, with the amount of kills 4 Romanian Boys got, the Noisy Boys needed that win. They needed it.
Now let's see the match rankings. Let's see exactly how the points stacked up with that chicken dinner. 21 points. The problem is the 4 Romanian Boys got 19 points. So your chicken dinner and us going crazy and complimenting you is only worth 2 points in terms of catching up. Think about it. You just won one of the hardest Miramar games you've ever played, and your reward is 2 points closer to first place, which is like 50 points ahead of you still. Like, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair for the Noisy Boys, man. They're trying so hard. They're doing so well. And like I said, while watching that Miramar game, just stop it, 4 Romanian Boys. Just stop. Just stop. We get it. Oh my God.
It's and that's why I posed a question of, are Noisy Boys getting to the point where they technically need to drop on 4 Romanian Boys? We've seen it in other tournaments. The biggest example I can give is Zeus, right? Zeus in the PMPL South Asia finals. In the last game, okay, they left it to the last game, but in the last game, they were 30 points behind the first place team, Astro Gaming.
Okay.
So what did they do? They dropped on Astro Gaming because they knew the only way they were going to win the PMPL SA Championships was if they took out Astro Gaming and then hoped that they got enough points. As it happens, they didn't take them out. Astro came out on top in that fight. But at the end of the day, they knew what they needed to do. And I kind of can't help but feel that Noisy Boys are in that same position. Let's move on to page number 2 of the standings. And of course, Tip Top with 4 points.
Yeah, the second page, I mean, the second page is the second page. Everything is focused on the first page. We're heading into the very last game of day number 3. We still got a day left. So at this point, if you're on the second page, you just kind of fall to the wayside. There's no more talking points to be had. And oh man, that I know what the game you're talking about. The Zeus versus Astra one. Yeah, it's looking like that's what they have to do. For the Noisy Boys, they don't even have the amount of points yet to kind of put them in a spot to hot drop. But with just how good the 4 Romanian boys are doing, like proven good, like give them tough circles, throw teams at them, hope for every possible thing you can against the 4 Romanian boys, and they're still coming out on top with massive amount of points. The only thing left to do for the Noisy Boys is throw yourselves at them. Take that. That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Let's go for a break. We'll be talking more about it. See you guys in a minute. And what a day 3 of finals we're having. I know it's cliche, but it just keeps on getting better and better, because in a map where I highlighted it was the Noisy Boys' weakest map, they come in and they get a chicken dinner. And they get their second chicken dinner of the day. That is big plus. Big plus. But as we look into the overall standings, it just isn't enough to continue to close the gap, because 4 Romanian boys have them on a leash.
Yeah, it just isn't fair. Like, the Noisy Boys just played their toughest map to do well in. They got a chicken dinner, and they probably won that map in one of the most difficult fashions I've seen on Miramar. And yet that chicken dinner only caught them up by 2 points onto the leading team. And now the point difference that you see on the screen, that is 52 points difference right there. 52. They still have 52 more points to go to try and catch up. It's doable. If the Noisy Boys do what they're doing today, tomorrow, and then 4 Romanian boys finally start to slip up, yeah, there's a story to be had. So the race is still not over between these two teams.
A quick shout out to XTEAM. They've had a good day so far, 37 points in 3 games, just to give that a little bit of respect out there to them. They're just being overshadowed by the top 2 teams. Let's move on to the second page. It doesn't become too important, to be fair. ENTROPIQ dropped down to 12th after they only got 1 point in that last game, but they are still only 1 point behind New Generation.
This second page is actually really, really close in points. And so for the teams still trying to find certain placements, it's anyone's taking to move around down there. But as far as moving into the number 1, it comes down to if the Noisy Boys can do it or not.
Yeah, 110%. Look, man, it's crazy. 1 more game to go. Let's see if they can pull it off. Hey, look, you can pull it off in-game by enjoying a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G, the fantastic sponsors of the PMCO EU Wildcard 2021 split. 1 more game to go. The Noisy Boys, in today's 3 games, have scored 72 points. They've broken what you mentioned about getting over 150 points. So that in itself, again, to reiterate, is incredible.
Yeah, it is quite
to just outpush 4 Romanian boys, massively outpush them.
Yeah, quite an incredible show up for the Noisy Boys. But what's even more incredible is, on the flip side, the 4 Romanian boys, they're still able to keep that lead just as big, almost. These are 2 giants going at it right now on your guys' screen, and we got 1 more game left. Let's see these 2 giants duke it out for one last time on the final match of today for Erangel.
Playing path for the first time in what feels like forever, it's on the eastern side of the map. So definitely relieving for the likes of ENTROPIQ, useful for the Noisy Boys and Rexpect, because they're able to get to their respective spots. Or Romanian Boys, curious on how they're going to get to their normal loot spot. It can be often tricky when you look to kind of drop in between the coastline of Pachinki, grab a couple of vehicles, because a few other teams can be around there, and yeah, you can at times get caught off.
There's going to be quite a few teams going towards where 4 Romanian boys are going for those vehicles, right? Because that west side of the map, very inaccessible due to the plane path. So 4 Romanian boys, we could see them slip up here. Or on the flip side, we might just see them somehow pick up early kill or early 2 kills against the sides of a New Generation. Both those teams are headed towards that way right now.
Not only the Noisy Boys and Rexpect on Military Island, but you also have a few of the La Familia players and Sorry for Skill. That phase 1 is a bit of a kick in the face to the playing path, hovering on the very western side of the map. And on one hand, that's great for the Noisy Boys because technically they could rotate early onto the bridge and get onto that kind of western side of the mainland. But with the teams that are on that western side of the military island, and they probably would have seen a few of those parachutes, they might look to take their time.
I would definitely say so. They're going to take their time scouting the bridge, that's for sure. They already got bridge camped once in game number 1, so they're already by default going to be a little more careful. This especially being the last game of today for them to try and catch up on points. They need a mix of being careful and then going all out because, like, the point difference is huge. So they need a huge game. They need the kills. They can't be careful to the point of avoiding fights. They need to get the kill points along with the chicken dinner. And that's what they did in game 1 and game 3. And still, it is not enough. Oh, man. And for Romanian Boys going towards their Gatka loot, which is center of zone, they are rotating without a hitch. No problems to be had there. The only early scuffles potentially is between Sorry for Skill and La Familia down on that military base side.
One area, one position, one compound that I'm thinking of for this phase 1 for a team to go to. Can you guess what it is, Zute?
Oh, yes. Mount Everest.
No,
right?
No, that's why you said the word compound.
Oh, you said compound. I wasn't listening. I was looking at the map.
Wow. Okay, calling 4K. Okay, I see how it is. That's fine. That's going to be a tweet longer right there, friend. Okay. Dear Twitter community, Zute didn't listen to me while we were casting together. Anyway, no, it's a cube compound by the river. That cube compound outside of North George, to me, that's one of the best places for a team to go to.
Okay. I mean, for this circle, chances are it's not going to end there, but you're right in the fact that it does control, if it does hard shift to the northeast, they have access to the north side of the Erangel Island and south side. You're 100% correct about that. I was just so focused on what zone haven't we seen and what's smack dab in the middle of the map. That would be Mount Everest. So I was just thinking Mount Everest before you even asked me the question. So yeah.
I'm just glad you were listening to me. To be fair, like. Absolutely love it, man. Absolutely love it. Brilliant stuff indeed. Brilliant stuff indeed.
I mean, I gotta tell you, I'm tired, and it's not because I didn't prepare myself for today, okay? I got my sleep in. I made sure I was ready. I'm not sleeping on the job. I'm literally tired because of 4 Romanian boys. Like,
I feel you, man. I feel you.
Is making me tired. And not because they're boring, but they're so crazy that I'm getting fatigued.
It's like
just watching.
It's like they take our energy. It's like they take our energy and they apply it to their gameplay. That's what it kind of feels like.
Oh! Okay. This bridge camp not working, but actually, I don't know if you noticed, Imperium. Sorry for Skill had a player already across at the tower. So, okay. So they're bridge camping, but they didn't know Sorry for Skill had a player already across the bridge at the Wizard Tower. I don't know if that player got there, but okay, this fight is continuing on. They're adapting. They're going for the counter push. Sorry for Skill looking good, though. 1 knock onto New Generation. 4v3 situation and a trade 1-for-1.
I gotta give credit to New Generation. Because remember the first game of the day when they kept 3 players behind that one rock and they had no, counter angle? No second angle, not highlighted that. Well, game 4, they have multiple players, multiple angles. So I gotta give him credit for that. However, as Keme tried to move down from the lighthouse, he gets knocked out. That was a big F in my eyes because unless you absolutely are certain you have the area covered, you don't move away. You gotta stay in the back line.
That was a wrong play, but before I touch on that, the Noisy Boys hearing the noise, and they're driving on by. Quick pit stop. They steal that kill. Well, like I said, they need kills and the chicken dinner, so that is exactly what the Noisy Boys are doing. They realize the chicken dinner is not enough. They're going to try and just out-kill the 4 Romanian boys, and they're starting early.
Oh, lovely knock by Mizawa onto Bangs, utilizing the top of the roof advantage. Still 4 players up by Sorry for Skill, by the way. Well, make that potentially
Mizawa.
3 as Mihai gets knocked. Mizawa doing wonderful things. Agon flanking around. That's a perfect way of blanketing the Romanian side of Sorry for Skill. That's what I'm talking about.
Beautiful. This is looking beautifully done by the Noisy Boys, and I'm glad they're doing it now because there's still one more day left. If they start doing this the next day, we're in for a show. And the Noisy Boys so clean. 2 kills now. Oh, not okay. Well, a little slip up. What? Beg for mercy?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. Why didn't he give that information to his teammate? That was really bad from Mizawa. He should have seen that nade hit against the wall. It's a knock onto his teammate, but it shouldn't slow them down too much because of the damage they've done already onto both of these teams. Agon has been perfect with his position in the back line. Opened the door for Beg for Mercy and Mizawa to push in, and then you have Bimmy on the other side doing wonderful work indeed. New Generation has 1 player left. Sorry for Skill does as well. A knock from CLW. FPP mode comes into play. Backs around the corner. Agon should be able to take a couple of shots off. And then from behind, Mizawa seals the deal.
There's still 1 player left, though. Blind, he needs to make his move now. He's going to do it with that grenade. That's going to be 2 thirsts, too. Oh, the shack. The Shack of Dreams saving them from that grenade bouncing off. That was as close as it could be. Agon still holding the Overwatch position, and now we've reset to 4v1. The Noisy Boys, they've done it. They're about to pick up 7 kills. It should be fine. There's no teams around them, by the way. There's not going to be another third party coming anytime soon. Unless if they push 1 by 1.
Can't be doing that. Agon's gonna push forward and Beg for Mercy! You knock yourself down! Come on, man! Don't throw the Noisy Boys! Don't throw! In your confirmation, Blind is being given a glimmer of hope. Do you go for the revive? Do you go for the push as a duo? Blind could jump outside the building, but I think Agon is aware of that. While Bimmy goes for the revive onto Mizawa. So I give credit once again to Agon on his positioning in this fight. I will say phase 2's popped up. It's shifted up north. Both of these teams are outside the circle. So the Noisy Boys, as much as they're going to pick up their 7th kill, of course, they're losing position in this phase 2 circle.
This is a clown fiesta. Like, the Noisy Boys. Please, what are you doing? Just play normal.
4v1, like, full send it. There you go.
Okay.
Finally.
Like, all right.
Jesus.
All right. Jesus.
Sorry, by the way, as much as see, the reason why we're all so tired is because, let's be fair, the Noisy Boys are putting on a hell of a show themselves.
They are.
It's a 2-way dance. And it's beautifully choreographed. 4 Romanian boys, they hold on to Everest. There's nobody in the Q compound or Rejection Gaming, Mega Power. They're in the center while TipTop and FTY are fighting just south of them.
Yeah, that's a compound fight right there. FTY, I think they already just lost. They're down to 1 member. You see, and that's the finish. FTY is out. This is like the opposite of the last 3 games, right? Usually we see 4 Romanian boys just fighting it out early on, picking up the kills, and the Noisy Boys are just chilling. You know, they're not finding the kills. They're just focusing on their rotations. Now, the Noisy Boys trying to, turn the page around. Okay, we're going to go for the early fights and pick up the kill points, and let's try and rack it up early on and then get more kills late game. Let's see if they could do it, though.
We're already down to 45 players and 12 teams on phase 2, by the way. This is fantastic. This is kind of like PEL level of kind of aggression and fights in the early game, and it's low-key refreshing to see.
It is.
We're being kept on our toes as Mega Power looks to close out the squad wipe and take us down to 11 teams. That's it. Job done. Mega Power pick up their 4th kill.
Yeah, and for the viewers that are watching, I often viewer party a thing called PEL. It's the Chinese league, right? Imagine this, right? Because it would affect this game. Imagine if kills were 2 points per kill in the first 2 circles. The narrative of a team trying to catch up like the Noisy Boys, it is so possible. And they just went for the early kills just now. You saw it on the screen. They picked up 7 kills. That would be theoretically 14 points already. But that's neither here or there. They got to do it the old traditional way. They got to do it 1 kill point at a time, and they are doing it beautifully. They're rotating into zone, and we're about to see the next circle shift. And I was saying I was tired because of the shenanigans and the craziness out of the 4 Romanian boys. Well, the Noisy Boys showing they could do the same exact thing.
Oh, that's a big shift up north. Big shift up north. Now, one caveat to what I mentioned about the Noisy Boys technically losing positioning in phase 2, because of the amount of players that are taken out of the lobby, obviously already, that does leave a lot more landmass available for these teams. It's been put on ice because of that massive shift up north. But they'll know how to deal with it. A lot of other teams are going to have to deal with it. ENTROPIQ, instead of dealing with it, they're going to deal with the fight.
Mega Power right now with 4 kills already. You can see they switched gears. Mega Power is going just as aggressive as the Noisy Boys. Not fighting for first place though, but they're wanting to make a name for themselves. They are not happy with their performance so far. They know they're a better team than a lot of these other teams, so they're just taking the fight straight to them now.
Great supporting shots by ENTROPIQ. It doesn't work out as long as it probably should have, as Backfire gets knocked. They already have Sown down, so it's just Starkey and Sands that are left alive for ENTROPIQ. Just as much as ENTROPIQ look to get a good position in this engagement, credit to Mega Powers on their reaction, right? Fantastic setup on a 3-1 spread with the church roof being held onto, gives them the elevation to get information and react even quicker to ENTROPIQ.
Lodges with the second nade. Oh, flies a little bit too far. He probably thinks he's already cleared this area out because he threw a molly and a grenade and it looked good. That grenade, though, by Starkey does give away his position for sure, and now they're shooting at him. Is there one more util? Starkey, oh, here it comes. Rex with the grenade. This one should land perfectly. Using that third eye to get the better angle. Beautifully done.
Yeah. The walls can be both a blessing and a curse in an engagement. They can be a blessing because it's literally hard cover, but the curse is that when you rely on it too much, Maxman talks about it all the time, it's at a massive risk of utility. Speaks for itself. ENTROPIQ go down. Mega Power with 7 kills and 38 players, 10 teams left by phase 3.
This gets me so excited to see what's going to happen the next day. We still got one more day. And the way the teams are all turning up, the Noisy Boys sticking to their plan. We need kill points and a chicken dinner. Going for another push onto La Familia. One of the Noisy Boys is knocked. He is revivable. Beg for mercy, trying to keep up the pressure with the grenade. And Agon, once again, with the long-range Overwatch. The setup is there. Let's see if this fight plays out in their favor.
Nice nade by Beg for Mercy. I think Packy98 realized that, but it does connect on the Evil Boy. Wasted is confirmed. That leaves La Familia down to 2 players. Agon, if he has a vehicle, I don't think he does, but if he has a vehicle, he should make his way in there. But I like the continued utility pressure by the Noisy Boys, suppressing the La Familia players, and that's another one onto Cahill. Just Packy98 left on his own.
This is exact. Oh, Agon getting caught out. Agon got under the pressure. Oh.
Where's the rest of the team? What the hell?
Oh, no. Agon won't bleed out. That leaves 3 up for the Noisy Boys. And honestly, kind of Agon's mistake. He thought, with the pressure of his teammates. Yeah, with the pressure of his teammates, sure. You'd think that last player will be focused on the teams or the players pushing him, but that player, good on him too, realizing he can't win that 1v3 and there's a chance Agon might run into the open, and it worked out for him.
Yeah,
the Noisy Boys down to 3, and I was going to say
kills.
This is exactly how the Chinese teams play. So if we were to see players and teams do this all the time coming out of the different respective regions, they really get to show why they're better than some teams and not leave it to chance of circles. And I want to see this the next day out of not just the Noisy Boys, not Mega Power, but I believe there's a few other teams in here who have that team cohesion as well to play aggressive like that, to just simply overtake the lesser teams.
Yep, of course. Take from the weak and give to yourself. You gain that mental confidence that we've seen 4 Romanian boys use to their advantage. Now the 3 members of the Noisy Boys decide to just full send it into the water. That kind of made sense. There's not that much security behind their position, but they have a little bit of cover for the time being. 4 Romanian boys, they're only on 1 kill so far in this game, and they lost Redox. They're not in the most comfortable position. Well, when I say position, in terms of the amount of kills garnered so far, but they are in a great spot on the western edge of the circle. Bimmy is knocked down. TipTop, grab a kill.
Bemi's not just knocked down, he also gets finished there. So I think, the Noisy Boys now down to 2. 11 kills already. There was a chance for them to have 4 alive right there. That would make a huge difference, but they're down to 2. Let's see what these last 2 players can do. They had a great game so far, but they are not clear just yet. They need a chicken dinner to keep catching up.
And to be fair, they don't need to be super aggressive now. They've got a fantastic base amount of points, right? They can kind of play a little bit more position. We're down to 28 players, so that will give them technically a little bit more security that we only have around 8 to 9 to 10 teams in their eyes, right? That's where Agon, although he's down and out of the game, he should still be given those IGL instructions to his 2 remaining teammates that are alive. Last fight have an okay position, but they're pinched a little bit more by Mega Power. The next circle shifts and it goes into the arms of the feeders.
All right, the Noisy Boys need to clear out last fight. Last fight actually going in a little bit early. I feel like they're going to get pieced up by 4 Romanian boys. It leaves it open for the Noisy Boys. The Noisy Boys do exactly what last fight does, but they come in last so they can clear out what's in front of them. And that is the only chance that the Noisy Boys have right now.
The feeder's going for that building, the only one that was inside the circle, and maybe that's what last fight we're going for. But then they saw the feeders there, so they opted to go into the edge of the hillside. They're alive for the time being, but I see Sushio's taken a decent bit of damage. One of the Rexpect players gets knocked. The other one is inside the circle, has Bula, while Papi may be going for the revive into Salazar. QILIN, Bo, staying behind the rock, hoping he doesn't get spotted, while 4 Romanian boys looking over the mountain of the hill. Although it's not in the circle, they have free reign over getting a few kills on these teams around them.
4 Romanian boys find their way into zone right here. Playboy with the scout secures a really good position. Also finds the angle. That smoke just came out a second too late, but he's using that tree to perfect cover. He will manage to survive that. Daos Legion edging in on the northeast. The Noisy Boys right now are cooking in the blue. They're getting stopped by TipTop.
But a knock has been played out. I don't know if... Beg for Mercy is still alive. 9 teams left. They do need more placement points. That's one thing I will point out. Daos Legion losing players one by one. Playboy taking the shots on towards Vasi. Vasi is down. Pappy's going to get that one on board. 8 teams left. 19 players. 19 players. 7 teams left because the Noise Boys, they go down in 8th. Not quite enough. Before Romanian boys, they're being pressurized by Rexpect.
That grenade could come in clutch. Rexpect has 3. No, Rexpect actually has 4 players. They have Pappy all the way in the back on top of the hill. If Rexpect were to do something like we saw the Noisy Boys do, they could easily do it. They have the 1 player in the back to get the off angle, swing around, and kill this team that is the 4 Romanian boys. But will they be able to execute it? That's the difference maker. Or are they going to let 4 Romanian boys sit here and potentially get an opening into them?
Rexpect 4 players strong. It's been a while since we've seen them coming into the late stages of a game with the full squad up. Let's see if they can really take advantage of that. There's one of the QILIN players in the back line could have a bit of a backstab from outside the circle. Happy's driving forward, joining up with his teammates, but there's a lot of uncertainty. Oh my god, he got the knockdown on the Wicks. He wasn't expecting that, but he'll certainly take it. Now there's one more player left from 4 Romanian boys. Playboy does get a knock, but it instantly responded. And that was a play done that you have seen in PL and you have wanted to see in this PMCO.
Yeah, using the vehicles to run over players in smokes, it's so underrated, but I've been seeing it more and more from other regions, so that's good to see. Rexpect using that to great use. And what I love is they didn't just go into a circle and wait for the 4 Romanian boys to come to them. Because if they do that, there's a chance that they might get knocked. And then you see it now. What's inside circle isn't all that clear either. They still got to fight teams inside circle. So they took the advantage and brought it to the 4 Romanian boys. Great job by Rexpect. We still got 5 teams left. Mega Power is still up with just 1 player alive, trying to sneak it out. TipTop with those grenades have a pretty good idea. And they get... Oh, he actually got finished by Defeaters. Defeaters pushing out and try and take control of the situations themselves.
Yeah, Defeaters, I wasn't sure about how well they were going to be able to control their area, but credit where it's due. They've done perfect timing on that one. Alicio with the nade takes down TipTop, and we're down to 3 teams. Rexpect, Defeaters, and 1 player from last fight, Sushio. They went for the push earlier on, and he's been able to hold things down, not taken out by 4 Romanian boys earlier on before they got distracted by Rexpect. Pappy playing on the other side is beautiful for Rexpect's ability to possibly get the higher end play, and Hasbula open things up with a knock on Alicio with the nade. Going for the revive, I think, is a bit of a bad idea. Whiskey is down to about 20 health. Yes, the revive will be able to pull up, but that allows time for Rexpect to continue to control this late stages of the game. And yes, the revive came out, but an instant knock followed by a second on the Style. Style is left Whiskey on his own. He gets taken out, and that's the end of the Defeaters. Last fight, Sushio hasn't been spotted. He could get the backstab, takes the shots, but the opportunity is missed. Has to make a move. Pappy's being spotted up. A bandage being played out. No, he cannot choose to pull it on in. But Hasbula takes the shot, and Rexpect get the chicken dinner in the last game of the day.
Rexpect with the chicken dinner. Beautifully done. I love the whole entirety of that last game. And I want to say something for the viewers that are watching that might want to do competitive themselves, and for maybe the comp players that are watching this back right now. This is what makes a region stronger. Playing aggressive, but playing aggressive correctly. You just saw the Noisy Boys get up to 11 points and potentially still being able to keep 4 alive. When Agon died, he shouldn't have died. That was a mistake. He will learn from it. Next time around, that doesn't happen. They pick up those 11 points, keep 4 alive, continue into the late game, win out a chicken dinner with like maybe 20 kills. That is what I love seeing. And we saw that out of Mega Power. They played aggressive on 2 different teams. This is so pleasing to see. This is how you improve. And the confidence coming out of these teams, I love it.
Just fantastic calculated aggression across the board and calculated plays like Rexpect. That was some of the best PUBG Mobile I've seen them play in quite a while. Like, that's the thing. We may be talking about kind of the fight for first, which is the priority. But in between that, we'll weave the highlights of teams stepping up during a day or stepping up during a game. Even Mega Power, give them credit. Shades of what they showed in the group stage on that last game of the day. Big performance from them. But let's move on to the overall standings. We've given teams props, but where do the Noisy Boys where do Noisy Boys show up in points difference compared to 4 Romanian Boys?
That overall, so there is about a 43
point gap.
Oh, yeah. You're right. 43 point gap. That's doable. That's very doable, especially for the crazy point games we've seen both teams take. So coming into tomorrow, like 43, that's a huge gap. No questions asked. That is a huge gap, but it is doable. So the Noisy Boys, they played so well today too. And if they can do what they did that last game and clear up just like a few mistakes here and there to keep up everyone alive, that's what it's going to take to overtake the 4 Romanian Boys. And as for the 4 Romanian Boys, I think what the Noisy Boys just did is what the 4 Romanian Boys have been doing coming into the finals since day number 1. So they got a little bit of a head start going into the third place team, Rexpect. I think they're kind of understanding what it takes to be a top team. I know we're only in the PMCO stage, but it's not the foundation. I'm trying to think of the word for it. It's the mentality behind it that makes a top level global team. And I think the teams are finally to understand the mentality that's needed to improve, to be able to compete at the highest level. So they might not be able to do it when it comes to the execution, but it seems like everybody's understanding what needs to be done and what could be done.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, the top 4 teams out of the 12 games we've had have 10 of the 12 chicken dinners, right? And that is big plus. That's big love, big respect to all of those 4 teams. Again, it may only be a 2-way fight for the all-elusive 1 PMPL spot, but we'll always do our best to credit teams who are doing what they can to, as you said, show that aggression, show that they have the foundations, the ability to improve, evolve, and get better throughout this PMCO. Just to give a little bit more context on how big of a day this was for the Noisy Boys. 4 Romanian Boys didn't have a bad day. They got 73 points in 4 games. But the Noisy Boys, they got 2 chicken dinners and they got 85 points. That's actually the highest single day performance we've had in the final so far. Beg for mercy. At the start yesterday on my Instagram story replied, there's still 8 games to go. I now know why he said that. Because if there was ever a day the Noisy Boys needed, it was this day. It was these results. It was those games that they displayed today. Incredible strength. Both mentally and in-game wise. Just incredible.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen a team or teams evolve so much throughout the course of a tournament. And I've watched PMPL, I've watched PMGC. I've never seen a more apparent evolve, like a switch that's clear as day as what I'm seeing in this PMCO. So that makes me so happy, and I feel so lucky to be able to cast this and watch this region with you, Imperium. But we still got one more day. Show's not over, and I think we're in for quite a show tomorrow. I'm ready to really see what these teams have got. And I think let's move on to the second page real quick. I think a majority of these teams are really going to lay it down on the table tomorrow.
Mega Power moving up to 11th in the standings, 34 kill points, 22 placement points, very healthy for them, 56 in total. ENTROPIQ hanging around that 10th, 11th, 12th spot. They're on equal points as New Generation. So yeah, credit to ENTROPIQ and Mega Power, to be fair, today. I'll give them props in the second half of the standings. And with those 4 more games to go, Zute, these 8 teams still can play a massive part of who grabs that PMPL spot, right? Whether it's Mega Power unleashing the aggression and taking kill points away from the Noisy Boys, whether it's a team dropping on 4 Romanian Boys or the Noisy Boys to try and take them out early for the last game to, as you said at the start of the day, make a name for themselves. They have a big, big part to play in tomorrow's games.
Yeah, coming into tomorrow, there's like 2 things I'm looking out for. One, I'm looking out for all the teams that don't have a chance at number 1. And I said to drop on 4 Romanian Boys, but based on what I just saw, no. I want you guys to play the ways the Noisy Boys, Rexpect, what they just showed, the aggression to take it to the other teams. Not a hot drop. Hot drop's a little bit RNG. You don't get much practice out of that.
Yeah.
But switch that dial. Play aggressive. Take the angles. Play fast with your team. Communicate. If I could see all the teams do that tomorrow, that's a huge plus. And that'll shake things up quite a bit as far as the overall results will go just as well. The second thing I want to see potentially is, yes, the Noisy Boys. They're probably talking about it now. They're probably discussing it. Do we need to drop right on the 4 Romanian Boys? What is their split drops? When is the best time to do it? Which players do we isolate? All of those conversations are probably being had right now.
The Noisy Boys, I don't know if they can rely on another 85-point day tomorrow to secure that PMPL spot. So you're dead right. The question has to be asked, are they going to look to hot drop and take out 4 Romanian Boys early on in the games tomorrow? There's 1 more day to go in the PMCO EU Wildcard Finals. 4 more games and 1 elusive PMPL spot available. You are not, and I promise you, you are not going to want to miss it. Join us tomorrow, myself, Zute, the rest of the crew, for beautiful games, beautiful action, and what's going to be a fantastic ending. Stay safe, stay awesome. We'll see you tomorrow.